What? I need a reason. Don't say money. Why do this?
Why not do it? Because the house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes, the house takes you. Unless, when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
Been practicing this speech, haven't
A little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed it.
That was good,
We call ourselves the Elite.
Better than you, and you know it.
If not us, who? And if not now, when? We don't care about race or gender or sex or religion. If you're an elite athlete, we want you.
They want an alternative. They want something different to watch.
Change the world. We are going to change the whole universe!
They saw what wrestling was and realized what it could be.
All Elite Wrestling!
For the 10th time, it's Monday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for the next chapter of the only professional wrestling podcast that is changing the world every week. This is Seeing the Elite, an AEW podcast. I am your host, Bryce Reed. I am joined by my friend, my co-host, my tag team partner, Mr. Jonathan Davis.
What's up, buddy?
The world has changed. This is our Double or Nothing Megasode, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Jonathan and I are two friends, fans, lovers of professional wrestling who are here every single Monday morning with all the latest news from All Elite Wrestling. This is not a sports entertainment show. It's an entertaining sports show supported by fans like you from all over the world on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and podcast services everywhere. Subscribe, review, give us 5 stars. It just makes us feel sweet. Jonathan, how sweet?
Too sweet.
Too
buddy.
sweet. Facebook.com/Seeing the Elite if you want to stay updated. But if you want to be a part of the team, if you want to join us and have an awesome time like we did during Double or Nothing, man, you got to become part of our community. tinyurl.com/Seeing the Elite gets you the invite to our Discord server. And we had an awesome contest last night with everybody making picks for who they thought was going to win at Double or Nothing. And we have a champion we're going to announce at the end of the show when we have to call Brother Tony, and I have to hang my head in shame, I'm sure.
Probably twice.
Before we go any further, this show's gonna be fucking long show. I'm sure you know this because I'm sure you saw how long it was when you opened the show, when you looked in your podcatcher of choice. Jonathan's gonna do time codes. We're gonna do our best to keep updated with that. And at the end of the show, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're burying the lead. We're not talking about Double or Nothing until the end of the show because it happened last night, and all of this stuff happened before. So if you want to skip Being the Elite and all the awesome stuff that happened this week outside of Double or Nothing, check the description.
It's all good.
Yeah, we get it. We understand not everyone has time for what will surely be a very long podcast. If you're here with us all in from day one, you want all of it, it's here for you. But if you don't want all of it, check the description. We're going to have the time codes. You can go right to what you want to hear about. Hopefully, if we can manage to pull that off. This is a first-time thing for us. Because
I took my medicine this morning. It's all good.
because there was just so much to talk about, man. And believe me, as hard as it's going to be for you to wait for us to talk about Double or Nothing, it's just as hard for us to wait to talk about Double or Nothing. Because, oh my Lord.
We already started and had to stop ourselves because we were like, oh yeah, we had to record this.
Oh, right.
This is going to be a 5-minute episode.
Right, we got to do a show. There's just nothing else to talk about this week. So, Being the Elite, episode 100. and 52 up front seems like a lifetime ago.
Dude, it really does, man. It's hard to believe this was like a week and a half ago that we were going through learning about the TV stuff. And I mean, it's been a hell of a week. In the meantime, we've had, 2 episodes of Being the Elite, Before the Bell, another Road to Double or Nothing, the Hangman match, and then Double or Nothing. It's been insane.
So much stuff to talk about. This episode opens with Matt and Nick doing their best to suppress their smiles. They've invited Brandon Cutler over to, he believes, record some voiceover. Little does Cutler know, he's actually there to pick up some contracts for a full-time position at AEW as a wrestler and an executive content producer.
Yeah, if you don't watch any episode of Being the Elite, you should watch the first 5 minutes of this one, because it's going to hit you straight in the feels.
Oh, super touching, man. And he seems like such a great guy. I don't know him personally, but he seems like such a great guy, and it's always nice just to give somebody that, you know what I mean? Unclear here is if his wife is also offered a contract. I know that she does some work for Matt and Nick, and Cutler was handed 2 contracts. However, one could be simply a talent contract and the other an ECP contract. Hard to say without all the info.
Yeah, I think his wife may already be under contract, though, because they have said numerous times in the Road to Double or Nothing that she is one of their main costumers. So I think that may already be there.
Sure.
But, I mean, the content producer and the talent contract, that's paying so much more than just a simple costuming job. So
Yeah.
I
Still,
can understand why they were very, kind of shaken up and so excited about all this.
yeah, the phone call between the two of them is beautiful. And it's not always about hiring your friends when you own a business necessarily. But when somebody proves that they're a ride or die, right? When somebody proves that they're on the fucking team, no matter what's happening, right? That's the guy that you want to find something that he can do and pay him for it, right? Because at the very least, you can trust him. And in business, that's worth fucking everything.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a guy who's just straight up riding around in the fucking car with you to doing whatever that you need to do
Right.
in his free time, just because, hey, I want to hang out with my friends, that has nothing to do with, he probably never intended or hoped to get paid. He was just hanging out with his 2 best friends for a while. And
Yeah, man.
For a lot of people, that's payment enough. And especially with Matt and Nick being in a position that they can help one of their best friends, A, fulfill his dream, and B, be financially stable, man, that's something that most of us in the world can't even begin to dream of. That's a great thing to be able to provide someone.
That's the dream, man. That's the dream. And it's a great deal for Matt and Nick because like I said, however many people you can pull in that are just ride or die for you, do whatever you want them to do whatever you need, those are the people you want to be in business with because they're on the fucking team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and the great thing about Brandon is he's already built himself into a couple of really good feuds for when we start TV stuff.
Sure. I mean, you can say that MJF is feuding with everybody right now, but sure.
Pretty much, man. I mean, good God, that kid was so good. I was talking to my dad about it last night because he watched the show on my account.
Nice.
And he was like, I was talking to him about Hangman, and he was like, "Who's that kid out there with the goofy looking scarf?" And I was like, "Oh, MJF. He's fucking great." And he's like, "Yeah, I really liked him. That kid can really cut a promo." And he was asking me, he was like, "Was that scripted?" And I was like, "No, he freeformed that. That was all improvised."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Really,
bro?
How long has this kid been in the industry?" I was like 2 or 3 years.
I gotta stop you right there. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to Double or Nothing, for the love of God. Funny scene between Matt, Nick, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus after asking if Jungle Boy is even old enough to enter a casino. Quote, that's where the show is located. Go ahead.
That's a valid question. The kid looks like he's 12.
Yeah. Matt and Nick have him choose a card. They then duck down to reveal that Jungle Boy is perched atop the shoulders of Luchasaurus. Matt offers Luchasaurus a card, and Nick tells Matt that they're fully booked. Matt says, it's fine. We'll cut Michael Elgin or something. Luchasaurus takes the card and the Bucks exit. Luchasaurus says, hey, no peeking. And Jungle Boy says, you can talk? Luchasaurus says, yeah, man, I've got a master's. What's your excuse? Which was great. Just a little in-joke about their characters.
Yeah, it definitely was. I'm so stoked that Luchasaurus is in. I've been reading on Reddit of a lot of people this is their first exposure to him and like really want AEW to sign him full time because he's fucking great.
He is great.
Man, it was some funny stuff. I loved it. Jungle Boy looks just like his fucking dad to the point it's kind of scary.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, I at first I thought when they were saying, "Oh, it's fine, we'll cut Michael Nakazawa," when I was listening to it through my headphones, and then I had to go back. It's like, oh man, shots fired at Elgin, but fucking good.
Cut to Santiago, Chile, for some brief footage where we find Christopher Daniels seated at a table with a local man. CD asks the man if he'll help him do a worst town bit about Santiago. Unfortunately, the man does not speak English. CD says in Spanish, my Spanish is terrible. My Spanish is garbage. You want to change BTE from English to Spanish? Impossible. Impossible. Spanish is difficult. Fuck. CD then
not in Spanish.
CD then laments his recent string of single bookings before thanking the man for his time. I don't know what it is about everything Christopher Daniels directs for this show, but it always seems like the timing is slower than it should be.
A little bit, yeah, but I mean, this one wasn't as bad because this one was just, if there's other people involved and it's not just him and like a random person, then it is more apparent. With this one, it seemed a little slow, but it was fine and it was honestly funny. I felt like this one was slow because he was trying to remember the Spanish.
Yeah. I also feel like it's only because Matt and Nick and Cody and Kenny, from a comedic timing wise, are like super quick with their stuff. I don't know what their process is for that. It's probably that it's not written out very well at all and they're just kind of going off the cuff, and that's why it seems fast and natural. Whereas CD stuff and basically all of the SCU stuff seems to be a lot more slow for some reason.
I think that those three guys, I think they have to actually sit down and talk about it, what they're going to do and what they're going to say. For whatever reason, that's just their process. But yeah, like the Bucks and Kenny and Cody, I mean, they're not really scripting that. It's just off the cuff. They're just rolling, and I imagine they'll do it a couple times. Maybe they may just do it once and that's it. Sure. Because they can really they have that dry sense of humor. They can just run with shit. So it's really never really a problem.
Next is kind of a weird scene with Sammy G and Fuego del Sol. Fuego calls Sammy out for being a D-bag after Sammy says that Fuego's match sounded great. They're finally getting around to why everyone hates this guy. It's because he's like super ingenuine.
Yeah, which definitely showed during the press conference.
Sammy apologizes for being a jerk in the past and reassures Fuego that he's trying. He exits, leaving Fuego feeling like maybe Sammy G isn't so bad. The next scene opens in a car with M to the J to the F.
Dude, this was so fucked up.
MJF has decided that he's going to do his BFF to death, Cody, a solid by murdering his older brother with a replica master sword.
Yeah, we're just going to go out and whip a sword out in the middle of suburban Georgia.
Yeah, I'm just going to kill him in Georgia. Just before MJF can bring the blade down upon, quote, Old Yeller himself, Dustin turns around.
So many meanings right there, man.
Dustin immediately recognizes MJF, who immediately denies it. Dustin then tries to help him out by telling the man, who totally isn't MJF, by the way, that the Zelda competition is just down the street. I have no idea what that means. I guess cosplay competition is what they were kind of trying.
I'm assuming so. I thought it was, it was touching to me that Dustin knew what Zelda was. That was, a funny.
Cody's like a huge fan of Zelda stuff. So.
Cody's definitely a huge Zelda nerd, but it's still, when you see the older generation that knows video games, it's always like that fun moment. Like, the fuck? Okay.
MJF quickly feigns feigns ignorance and backs out of the conversation. You do look like MJF, Dustin says, as MJF exits, once again denying any knowledge of himself.
As he walks away, though, I was like, oh man, big fan.
That's fantastic, dude. We're then going to move into BTE Mailbag. Both of these, we got 2 episodes of Being the Elite this week. Both of them were fairly short for BTE, like sort of shorter on BTEs.
This mailbag, honestly, they should have just taken it out because the questions that they picked were shit that they can't answer.
A fan asks Nick how many titles AEW will have. Nick says they're going to try to keep it simple. They don't want the titles to lose prestige and believe that too many titles is a quick way to do that. It's not written in the notes, but in post Double or Nothing interviews with Tony Khan said that he feels as though he really only wants the world championship. He doesn't want to do more titles than that because it puts other implications upon those other titles. He doesn't even want to do weight classes, which is interesting because he did a weigh-in, but he, in his own words, that's just sort of interesting sports statistics stuff. But I don't want to do weigh-ins because it casts a shadow upon the junior heavyweights. Weight classes, right.
Yeah, he was very open that like he does like want those David and Goliath type matches. So
sure.
That the title will not be called the heavyweight championship. It will just be called the world championship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm anticipating they'll have the world championship, a women's title, and a tag team title, and that'll probably be it.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe do a trios, but even then, I think they'll probably be those 3.
I could see them doing a trios, but because they've done 2 trios matches on Double or Nothing. They've announced a trios match at Fyter Fest.
They have SCU under contract who are a trio,
Right. Yeah, there's a definite, and most of Lucha Libre is done in trios, not tag teams. So that's also a big implication because of the partnership with AAA, as well as, the partnerships with the Japanese wrestling promotions who do a lot of trios wrestling.
Yes, I agree. So that's the only other title I can see them adding. Maybe they'll have another thing with the wacky rule, but that seems incongruous with what they've been talking about. A fan asks Kenny, besides your match at Double or Nothing, what part of the show makes you feel the most nervous? Kenny says that the stuff that makes him nervous is never the matches. It's the technical stuff. However, he has great confidence in the production team they have assembled, and he's hoping nothing goes wrong. Quote, but if it does, it'll probably be funny, so enjoy, quote.
He's not wrong. And that makes a lot of sense. He's worried about the things that he has literally zero control over and that he cannot help out with at all.
Right, that is going to negatively impact people's attitudes towards the show, right? But he can't control them because he doesn't know how to do that stuff. It's not his job. He's not worried about the thing he's been doing for 15 years, that he's going to be all right with that, especially in the ring with Jericho. So, and we'll talk more about that later. A fan asks Cody if AEW will host a pay-per-view from the UK in the future. I found it funny that they asked this question only because it had been answered last week by Tony Khan in a different interview, but okay. Cody says yes. In quotes, Tony Khan said yes to this as well in interviews earlier. The fan then asks if ITV will be the home of the weekly TV product. Cody says yes in every way possible except for literally saying yes.
Which was basically the contract's not final yet. I'm under a gag order. I can't actually say yes.
Right.
But, take a look at where Double or Nothing's airing.
Yeah. It is now time for another world-famous Young Bucks airport update. They are headed to New York City for upfronts. Next, we're in a car with Kenny and the Bucks. They're just about to announce the TV deal. They joke about being a primetime T-shirt company. It's a nice moment, and it's interesting to see these sort of quiet moments before big things happen that I don't think any other company would show you. You know what I mean?
Definitely not. This is something that every other company is keeping secret because they don't want, to show that nervous energy to the home base.
It humanized them quite a bit. It was very funny.
It definitely did. And especially because the funniest moment of all this is while they're in the back of the limo, the announcement that came through from TNT it all happened while Cody was tying one of the Young Bucks' tie. So, he's sitting there doing it, and Brandy was on her phone pulling it up. I was like, oh, TNT just released this, and they were just like, cool.
Then we moved to a bus, then to a red carpet for more videos of the guys trying to take in the moment that they really may truly never comprehend the moment. And I want to talk about this. About a year ago, my band Sonic Libido, soniclibido.com, got the opportunity to open for the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, who are like my fucking hero, like the greatest band ever for me. And I made
the bass player made fun of your band name.
Oh, did he?
When he asked you, like, Sonic Libido, really?
That wasn't me. He didn't say that to me.
Oh,
no,
I thought he said that to you.
The only thing Joe said to me was nice speech after I called the entire town a disgusting cesspool of ugly nerds. He liked that. So.
It just proves more that all you music people are all fucked in the head.
But I spent in the week up to it, I was like, I need to do my best to try to take in this moment and understand it as it happens, because there's a very real possibility it only ever happens once. You know what I mean? And I was slaved with this forever. Just like, oh man, I gotta remember when I'm on stage to take my time and feel this moment and let it all in. And
that 30 minutes goes quick.
It was so important to me that I do that. And I got up there, and I remember on stage making a conscious effort to do it, and I just didn't know how, man. Really, I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't take it in. And I think these sort of big moments in their lives, of which they have many, as successful as they are, right? I wonder if the magnitude ever really dawns on them.
For this one, I'm sure it did, because like this is literally the biggest moment of their lives.
Sure.
Like 100%. So this one, I think they felt the magnitude of it. And then, the part where they're in the car and you can literally just see how nervous they are. It really showed, like, we're about to walk out here with fucking literal movie stars to talk about our silly wrestling show. And, just seeing it, like the stuff they post on Instagram and where, where they were taking pictures with Daniel Radcliffe and all kinds of just random shit like that, where they're getting to meet people that they've, seen on the screen for years and years. And a silly wrestling show is in the midst of all this. I'm definitely sure they understood the moment and felt, all of the momentous things to do with it and the just craziness that's about to roll out from everything.
Yeah, man. That's wild. I really can't imagine. But next, we're at the home of the Hangman as he receives a VHS tape in the mail.
Oh my God.
I know.
I was reading online, man. Apparently, this is not the first time. Anytime Hangman has received a tape, it's been some dumb shit like this.
Yeah. I know that your tech brain just can't handle this gag. He opens his desk drawer, puts the cassette tape in the drawer, the VHS tape in the drawer, and the video pops up on his computer. This bit slays every time. I enjoy watching Jonathan react to it.
That works at all.
Technology is just a fluid thing in the universe of the Hangman, dude.
Apparently, man, it's just all witchcraft and wizardry to him, so it just all works.
Cody cuts an amazing promo that I didn't transcribe because I can't do it better, and we have a long show ahead. Cody reveals that it was him and the rest of the elite that set up the cameras and sent the secret stuff. Cody then bears his insecurities and admits that he might have taken it all out on Paige due to his jealousy over Brandy getting in Muscle and Fitness this month and not him. Constantly
You did call that.
He constantly brings it back to himself and then goes, but it's not about me. It's not about me. Moving on, he tells Hangman that he will always be full gear ready, and he never needed the secret stuff. He then yells at Hangman that he's a fucking horse, and then says, "You kick Pac's ass, Hangman. Do the work." That's my expression. Again, bringing himself back into it at the end.
The best part of this whole thing, though, is Hangman posted on Twitter after the Pac match and everything. He's like, yeah, Nick told me that all that was in that bottle was Diet Coke.
Hangman realizes that he's full gear ready. He rips off his clothes to reveal he's already in his full gear. Stands up,
airport like that.
Immediately drives to the airport in his gear, flies to England. The episode ends in the ring at WrestleGate just before the bell rings for Hangman versus Pac. The end. Until the next day. There's kind of something that happened like every fucking day this week. So
essentially, yeah.
Hangman Page versus Pac went up on Tuesday, May 21st on the All Elite Wrestling YouTube. This, of course, was taped the week before. So we're sort of getting the tape of it. We had already kind of heard about what had happened and reported about it last week to a certain extent.
It was a good match. I mean,
It was a great match. It was not an incredible classic match. There's nothing wrong with being just great either, I don't think.
No, not at all. It was completely serviceable, and if this happened at AEW, I would have been perfectly happy with it. I understand the reasoning behind all of this and, everything to do with it. I'm not really even sure we really need to go into too much detail on it.
Sure.
Because it's, we've already talked about this twice now.
I'm gonna hit just a few things on it.
Absolutely.
Page took a pretty gnarly bump to the apron. Pac hit a brutal missile dropkick from the top. Page dodges a moonsault to the outside from Pac, then hits Pac with his own moonsault. Massive superplex from Pac, and then he whiffs on the Red Arrow. Page fires up just as he's about to go for the finish. Pac blatantly kicks the ref in the balls. Hangman then gives the finger as Page hits the finish and pins, but it doesn't matter. The ref has already called the match in disqualification. Pac then beats the fuck out of Page with a chair and then says, "Hangman, the only reason I was going to Vegas was to hurt you, to maim you, to torture you. And look, my work is done. So you can tell all your little elite buddies I'm not coming to Vegas, I'm not coming to Double or Nothing, and I'm not coming to AEW." Again, I thought it was really good. If this was the match finish that he was willing to do, then I believe Meltzer's claim that it was due to him not wanting to lose to Kenny down the line.
I 100% agree with that. I do think that was the case, especially with that they had it all set up for Fyter Fest and then Fight for the Fallen, and even more so just of how their booking has changed in the past 16 hours.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
I think it's a shame.
Yeah, it really is, dude. It's
as cool as Dragon Gate is, I think even they might agree that walking away from AEW just to protect a fake win streak for your champ is a rather foolish for all parties. But hey, we got to see this match and another different match at Double or Nothing, right? So it's a win-win. I think it's fine. Or matches got more time or whatever. I don't think taking this match out of the show made the show any worse. I don't.
I to be honest with you, I think it made the show better because it allowed time for things to breathe. So the Double or Nothing ended about 11:45 last night.
Yeah.
So if you'd had this match, they would have been right up against that.
Oh yeah.
Timer. So I feel like this is fine that this happened the way it did. It sucks, but it allowed Double or Nothing that chance to breathe, as well as to do some, extra segments during the show, which is leading us to our television content. Yes.
Before the Bell. Let's talk about Before the Bell. Early Wednesday morning.
I didn't watch this.
It's worth watching because it's well directed as a documentary. It shared no new information. The team released an ITV exclusive documentary about AEW called Before the Bell: The Story of All Elite Wrestling. It's mostly Road to Double or Nothing footage recut. In fact, I think that the same director who cuts Road to Double or Nothing just cut this also for ITV.
So Sunny Days did this.
Yes, I believe.
That makes sense.
It's intercut with a couple of new interviews. It's intercut with a couple of new interviews, and it has a couple of new segments, particularly in reference to Cody and Kenny's match, which gets the bulk of the second half. It's available now on ITV Wrestling YouTube channel, and I think maybe also on All Elite Wrestling's YouTube channel.
I think so. I think it's available in more than one place now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Chris and I were gonna watch this because I was like, hey, do you want to check this out so before you do your scorecards? And her response was, no, I'm good. I've been listening to the show. I know enough so I can fill our scorecards. I was like, thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much.
Somebody's listening. The Road to Double or Nothing, episode 16. I was surprised that this episode actually had new stuff and wasn't entirely just here's a sort of a retread of what had happened throughout the series.
Yeah, I thought it was literally just gonna be like a 10-minute promo package.
This episode opens with the reveal that a few weeks back, when Brandi told Britt Baker that she was her pick to win the match, she had also called and said the same thing to both Kylie Rae and Nyla Rose. Kylie comes off as insufferably bubbly in this, and during the weekend she came off as the same way, basically, like a Muppet, for Christ's sake. When I don't want to seem too critical of it, but there are times when it's like, all right. Oh,
it's okay. We'll get critical of it. There's some stuff I added in.
When MJF acts like a nice guy, he's doing an impression of Kylie Rae. That's all I'm going to say.
The more I watch of MJF, I'm really convinced he's a fucking psychopath. He fakes emotions really well.
In cuts from a series of interviews between Cody, Tony, Brandi, and comedian actor Jack Whitehall, Cody, Brandi, and Tony state their creative focus on recapturing what they call the lapsed fan. The next portion is kind of a very short version of the Before the Bell doc. They are sort of prepping for things that are going to happen on Saturday. There aren't many more pieces to put on the board here, so they're just kind of closing up promo and being like, no, seriously, buy the fucking show.
Yeah. This next quote from Cody was one of the best things I have heard in years, and it's so fucking true, man.
There's a great moment where Cody says he can't stand the Attitude Era. He thinks that there's been 5 matches in the last 5 months that were better than the entire era, and he can't stand that most fans would not agree. Which, yeah, is wonderful. They also go on to say that Double or Nothing is going to be the best wrestling pay-per-view in the last 10 years. We're going to talk about later whether or not we believe that happened or not. But they really pulled no punches with the promo, man. They hedged their bets and said, no, it's going to be incredible. And that's a risk. They could have come out and been like,
it definitely was just ahead of time, just sitting there and saying that, I was like, man, that's fucking ballsy as hell. They
could have come out and said, hey, we're going to try new things. We hope you come along with us on the adventure. They said, no, it's going to be great. You got to be there, Yeah. And they made some lofty promises. And we'll talk about whether they hit it later. I just want people to wait to hear. Although I think fans of the show are pretty sure where we stand on this one.
Especially everybody that was in the Discord channel last night, man. They know how hyped we were.
Jack then announces that #1 contendership for the world title will be awarded to 2 men: the winner of the Casino Battle Royale and the winner of Omega versus Jericho. Jack then plays like he's going to reveal the title, pulling it from the bag beside him, but he can't get it out. It's a good bit, but there was a moment where you can see enough of the belt to recognize that they were actually using one of the all-in belts that were given to Cody and Bucks by a fan.
Because they knew someone would just freeze frame it to
Yeah.
try and get as much of a picture of the belt as they could.
And
So
if you
they
do,
were
if you freeze frame it, you can see the Chicago Stars.
like,
Right? So
fuck off, kids.
the rest of the episode is just a hype reel for the buy-in, but there were some interesting stuff, and it was nice to hear sort of the end of the promo and the end of that series, because it's over now, and where they go from here, it'll be interesting to see. I do want to say this, Full Gear auction. Adam Page is auctioning off his Double or Nothing gear along with a bottle of Michael's Secret Stuff in support of NEDA. The auction ends Wednesday morning. That means you still have time. Here is what the Hangman had to say. After months of training, strict dieting, and regrettably supplementing my regimen with what I believe to be performance-enhancing drugs, in parentheses it says it was apparently just Diet Coke. The Full Gear challenge is now complete. I should have seen it all along. I was always full gear ready. Unfortunately, not everyone has EVPs to trick them into finding their self-confidence. To help them along, I will be auctioning off my Full Gear and Michael's Secret Stuff bottle, all autographed, and donating the proceeds to the National Eating Disorders Association. NEDA is the largest nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting individuals and families affected by eating disorders, and serves as a catalyst for prevention, cures, and access to quality care. For more info on NEDA, visit nationaleatingdisorders.org. Let's all keep working to better ourselves and never forget that you're always good enough for Full Gear. That's lovely, man. That's great.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I mean, it's his way of just giving something back, because why not? And it's obviously something that's very important to him.
Sure.
So the same with Brandy and Culture City. So you might as well do as much charity work as you can, because these guys have more reach than they actually realize. I think it's great. I think it's might be a really expensive bottle of Diet Coke, but if you want to try and go for it, go for it. I think it's really cool stuff to have.
So if you're a fan of the Hangman with deep pockets, go and put your auction in on this gear and get it, man. Fully signed, and you're going to help a great cause. And that's wonderful. I want to speak briefly about Van Vilet finally releasing his Cody interview, which he had talked about doing when he was talking to Tony last week or the week before, whatever it was, and now he's going over and talking to Cody. In an interview with Chris Van Vliet this week, Cody dropped a number of cool exclusives. He said he thinks that TNT's weekly show will be a 2-hour touring live brand. This has been backed up in other places. Additionally, he said there is no interest from the company in doing house shows of any kind. Lastly, Cody gave us this quote, which should excite you. He said, "I'd say that we have a pretty good bearing on 6 months to a year." Exactly that. Long form storytelling is great in every medium, whether it's film or TV or whatever. It may be to know and work backwards. We've got a good, what I would call it, like a syllabus. There's a syllabus to what we're going to do. But one thing that Matt Jackson is really good about pointing out is some things just catch fire, and one thing we want to do differently than any other wrestling that's out there is you can't deny something when it catches. So if something catches, we're going to push that, and we're going to promote that. If an individual catches, we're going to push that, we're going to promote that, and it all starts at Double or Nothing. Now, Jonathan and I for years hosted a show called Podcast Underground about ill-fated but I think wonderfully influential Lucha Libre wrestling TV show, the scope of which won't be known for a long time. But one of the... If ever. But when we did our final episode for that show, we kind of talked about what we were hoping the big takeaways for the wrestling community would be in future wrestling products. And 2 of them are mentioned by Cody here. That's first and foremost a dedication to ongoing continuity and not killing things because something isn't necessarily working out or whatever. Just making things make sense and wanting to stick to that. And that's hard to do with a live product where people can get injured, but people did it. So it can happen. You can have deep continuity in wrestling. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you build your storylines with just that little buffer in there where you need to call an audible, you can call an audible.
Right.
Everything will work out fine. Like, the whole Pac situation, that, like, short term, it was fine.
Right.
That's what was going on. The issue is that their long-term plans were potentially in danger with the Dragon's Gate and his attitude. So that's why they just, like, you know what? No.
Yeah, because continuity is important and thinking ahead is important. If you need any reason why that's the case, look at Marvel movies and DC movies and you'll see why. Like, that's the whole reason why they're a huge thing, is because continuity matters. Everything matters when you watch those movies, right? So the more you can bring that into your product, the better off you're going to be. The other big thing that he mentions here is, of course, being willing to go with things when they quote unquote catch fire here, right? Pentagon was never supposed to be a big star for Lucha Underground. He became a big star for Lucha Underground, and when it happened, they didn't say that wasn't our idea, so kill it.
Yeah, he was literally brought in to be a jobber for like 5 episodes. And the crowd was like, yo, this guy's fire, please bring him back. And they did, and they made him one of the biggest stars of the promotion, and definitely contributed to him being a big star in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how, there's things that'll catch fire, and you have to be open-minded to them and notice them. You can't just be so set in your ways that, a good example, Daniel Bryan was fire, super hot. And you had people who were just set in their ways, like, no, I don't like him. He's not going to do anything.
You have to be more interested in great ideas than your ideas.
Absolutely. Well, you just have to admit that you have faults and you can be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope that they do that. But that, of course, as somebody who cared deeply about Lucha Underground, who covered Lucha Underground for years, hearing him say this thing is music to my ears, because I felt like that was the biggest things that show got right, was a dedication to continuity and being willing to be flexible to change when the crowd was going like, no, this is great, let's do this. Right.
Season 4.
There is no season 4. Hey, 3 and only 3 broadcast seasons. Everybody knows.
Exactly, that's right.
Being the elite number 153, quote, who's the best tag team in the world is the title. The episode opens with Matt and Nick out behind a venue. Nick is fidgeting with the deck as both men talk about how great they are. Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette approaches them.
I love how you typed that full thing out every single time.
I didn't. I copied and pasted it, but I'm going to say it every time.
The thought is there.
Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette asks the Bucks if he can have a card. The Bucks refuse because the Battle Royal is fully booked. Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette asks Matt and Nick if they know who he is. They do not know who he is. Even former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette says, I'm David Arquette. I'm a wrestler. I love that that's what he said, is that he's a wrestler.
He's a wrestler. No mention of, acting or
right.
He almost died a couple months back.
Nick says, are you a green boy? Because I've never heard your name. This is great. Matt gives the old rookie, like, oh, keep on working, man. Just,
You'll get big one day.
Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette can't believe that the Bucks don't know him. He starts listing movies he was in. Scream, Never Been Kissed, C-Spot Run, even Ready to Rumble. Fails to ring any bells. Nick says, was The Rock in that? To Ready to Rumble, which I thought was great.
It was just so demoralizing to him. You could just tell he was just completely crushed at that moment.
Just when former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette is ready to give up and walk away slowly, a light bulb flashes over Matt's head. It's then that he finally recognizes former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette as none other than former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette. Nick says, it doesn't change anything. We still can't give you a card. Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette says thanks and begins to walk away. It's then that Nick remembers that he and Matt could invite former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette to the party. Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette will be at StarCast anyway, and he would love to go to the party. But this isn't any kind of party. This is a super kick party. Incredibly good sport, and former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette thanks the Bucks. He says, that was awesome, you guys, as the mayor of Slamtown helps him to his feet.
With his small, very furry dog.
Yeah, with his purse dog that he's carrying.
That was just it was a really funny segment. I'm glad that fucking Mundo was in this. It was stiff kicks, too. It was great, man.
And it was wonderful to see former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette.
Which is funny because they did a watch-along of Ready to Rumble at StarCast.
The next scene opens with Pharaoh and the Salt of the Earth, M to the J to the F. Finally, alone, MJF tries to feed a chocolate brownie to Pharaoh. That's when Brandy enters all mad just because MJF was trying to kill her dog. I don't get it.
Because she was just like standing in the pantry for no fucking reason.
MJF says, you and I both know that I love brownies and that I love Pharaoh more than anything. Brandy insists that MJF eats the brownie in front of her. He refuses at first, causing a hilarious argument that MJF loses by biting a big chunk of the brownie. Brandy leaves satisfied in her victory, and MJF promptly throws up because he can't handle the gluten.
Or chocolate, or whatever, man. He's just,
body like that, he ain't pounding back chocolate brownies.
Or he's just, it's beneath him because it's, that's a plebe dessert.
Well, definitely, because it looked like it was like a
just one of the
like a truck stop
ones.
brownie, even at that. In the next scene, Joey Ryan sits on a park bench alone. The librarian, Pretty Peter Avalon, approaches to ask Joey for advice. It seems Peter is still worried about the two librarians thing. Peter Avalon says, I don't get it. They want to double my pay and send me home and just send paychecks to my house? Joey Ryan, in a heartbreakingly sincere tone, says, that sounds really awesome, actually.
Yeah, dude, he was so sincere. Like, man, why can't they do that for me?
It's like when a close friend says, I'm happy for you, man. It's like, oh, okay. Pretty Peter Avalon says, what should I do? And Joey Ryan says, listen, man, don't look at me. I don't even work here. Which seemed like foreshadowing, but it wasn't.
I honestly did think it was foreshadowing. I thought he was going to be one of the four mystery people. It was like, oh yeah, Joey's definitely in all AEW. It makes complete sense. But we can't really do a lot of penis things on network TV, so I get it. But yeah, it was weird. There's another one of those just random Joey Ryan segments that goes nowhere again.
MJF is outside and cuts a short opposite day version of the SCU promo on California, which is great.
This was fucking magic.
Brandon Cutler approaches MJF so that he can pick a card for the Battle Royal. MJF, of course, just immediately starts ripping on him for no reason. For like a solid 45 seconds to his face. Calls him bald-headed, bobble-headed bitch boy.
Oh, man. I was watching this at work. I was laughing my ass off.
When picking on Brandon doesn't work, MJF moves on to Brandon's Brandon's wife and kids. He then finishes making fun of Brandon and says, anyway, it's a no smoking area and you just got smoked, pal. So, and starts walking off. MJF stops him from leaving. He needs MJF to pick a card for the Battle Royal. MJF admits that he simply takes umbrage with Cutler being a protege of the Bucks instead of a protege of Cody, since Cody, quote, makes the best cigars, gives so much to charity.
Insert link here.
Right, and is generally a god among men. Cutler pushes MJF up against the wall and finally goes off on him, saying the only charity that Cody does is when he hired MJF, and that his wife makes the best gear and his children are adorable. He then asks for the last time for MJF to take a card. MJF meekly takes the card. Cutler exits. MJF catches his breath and then says, you know, when I talk to Cody about this, you're fired. Cutler calls back, what was that? MJF says, nothing. MJF peers. Go ahead.
Something I noticed throughout all the card dealing segments the past few episodes, they're all looking down at the face of the cards, not the backs.
Right.
Where it would be hidden.
Right.
They're looking directly down as like, oh yeah, you got the 5 of clubs. Cool. When they're telling everyone like, oh yeah, this is a secret. Keep it hidden. Pick a random card.
Yeah, he peers down at his card and his reaction is somewhat difficult to read. And I think the reason for that is that the cards, when you take them, don't really mean anything because you don't know what order the suits are going in, right? So, BTE mailbag. A fan asks if Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian are the voices of Arthur and Trevor. Frankie denies it. Next, a fan asks if BTE will continue once AEW and TNT kicks up into full production. Matt says that he and Nick have discussed it, but he really isn't sure. He would like it to continue in the future, but he's beginning to feel like they won't have the time. I don't have the time either, and I kind of hope they stop doing it once the show starts.
I feel like that's kind of just like really that's the best response because like they really just they don't know. I mean, if they do it like once a week show, it shouldn't really be a problem. But when you factor in travel along with everything else that they're going to be doing,
yeah, man,
it's going to be difficult to keep this going. And I understand why the fans would be concerned about this because there's a lot of people who like this is part of their weekly routine is watching this show. It's it's like it's a podcast for them essentially.
Sure.
So I can understand the concern, but it's a valid worry. I don't see how they're going to have time to keep producing a 20-minute video every week. Some of the stuff that they do in BTE definitely can't go on TV, so I understand the need for it, but it's going to be a tricky thing once they start sitting down and really doing full-blown production. So that was very interesting. The whole Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian thing was hilarious because they went in for a few minutes of like, yeah, these two dickheads, they just showed up out of nowhere and were just so harsh to us.
So it'll be interesting to see what the future of that product is moving forward. Hangman laid up on his couch, frozen peas and bandages on his knee, tells us that due to his injury at the hands of Pac, he will no longer be able to compete at Double or Nothing. He seems pretty fucking pissed about the whole situation and even gives the finger to the camera, George W. Bush style, before it cuts away. Next, Penta and Phoenix are backstage with Frankie Kazarian and CD approach them. SCU pays their respects to the Lucha Brothers and says that the Young Bucks are in trouble, tease a possible SCU versus Lucha Bros in AEW's future, and then exit. It's somewhat pointless.
I don't care. I'm down for that potential match. It'd be dope.
We're then treated to a nice, if awkwardly narrated, history between the Bucks and the Lucha Bros to close out the show.
I stopped watching when that came on.
It's just not. You could see what they were trying to do, but it felt like maybe they were. Well, the vocals felt really untreated, which was a problem. It felt like they were maybe doing voiceover into a phone speaker or something and then trying to overlay it on the video, and it just didn't work.
Which is probably what was happening because we know they do all the.
The problem is it's sort of an uncanny valley thing where it's so close to being a good production, but it's not right. You know what I mean? That it just seems worse than it would be if it was just completely shitty. You know? We then the following day had, or not the following day, it was actually Friday that this would have happened, was the press conference, which was pretty terrible. It was actually the most disappointing thing that came out this week for me. So I don't have.
Really had hyped it up like considerably that this was supposed to be like a highlight of the weekend, and it was really just, you know, the thing with MJF getting kicked out was funny.
That was funny, but the whole thing was like super disorganized. The only people who weighed in were Kip Sabian and Sammy Guevara, who have a match on the pre-show.
Yeah, and the way that this had all been described is that everyone would be weighing in, but I already knew ahead of time that Pentagon and Phoenix weren't there because they were in fucking Tijuana. So it was very odd to be that this was supposed to be like a really big press conference. I thought we were actually going to be learning some news about Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen.
Yeah,
but
no.
It is just whatever.
It wasn't even a press conference, really. I mean, like,
answer some questions from the crowd, but
yeah, but they all came out separately.
Yeah, it was more just like a random Q&A kind of thing than an actual press conference.
It was super weird, man. I don't really understand what they were going for. Enough planning was not put into it, and I understand they probably had a skeleton crew, but
it's
wow,
fine. It's whatever.
Cody did talk mad shit about WWE, which was funny though.
That was the greatest thing that came out of the press conference, though.
An evening with Cody and the Bucks was the same way. It was. I actually think an evening with Cody and the Bucks was funnier.
Yeah, it was. But like, since an evening with Cody and the Bucks happened first, and a bunch of clickbaity articles came out of it.
Yeah.
So in the press conference, Brandy was like, "Yo, don't say anything too bad. That's just gonna be 100 more clickbait articles."
Globally renowned producer and coach Dean Malenko has joined with AEW. And I wanted to talk about this before we move into it. It's the last piece of news that happened before Double or Nothing. It was basically announced like the eve of that he was going to be involved with them moving forward.
Yeah, this happened like this would have been something good to announce at the press conference.
Right. Instead, here's the press release. AEW signs Dean Malenko to a multi-year deal as senior producer / coach. Las Vegas, Nevada, May 24th, 2019. AEW today announced a multi-year deal with world-renowned coach, producer, and wrestler Dean Malenko. Effective immediately, the former number one ranked pro wrestler in the PWI 500 will take on the role as senior producer and coach. Malenko, who spent the past 18 years producing and coaching some of the biggest stars in wrestling, a second-generation wrestler trained by his father, the acclaimed Boris Malenko. Malenko's impact will be immediate as soon as he joins AEW this weekend at Double or Nothing. Quote, Dean Malenko has been a massive force behind some of today's biggest wrestling stars, said Cody Rhodes, EVP of AEW. He's never stopped being a major talent who is part of the ECW revolution as well as a fixture in the cruiserweight movement on Nitro. He's kept an open mind to our world from Lucha Libre to Japanese pro wrestling. He's the perfect fit for our sports-centric mentality, and his experience will be invaluable for our team. Welcome, coach. It's not, quote, it's not often that you get an opportunity late in your career to be a part of building something from the ground floor, said Dean Malenko. Quote, the freedom to be able to contribute uninhibited will only lend itself to foster creativity and produce an outstanding product. I am excited about what the future holds for AEW, and I can't wait to be a part of the journey. This is huge. Jonathan, you can probably speak more to the legacy of Dean Malenko than I can on account of you're older than me and watched more WCW, which was really his big kind of moment, right? He never really got the same shot in WWE that he had in WCW.
To be honest with you, I don't even remember him actually wrestling in WWE. I know he came over in that first wave after the purchase. It was after Jericho had come over, because Jericho came over before all the shit actually went down. Yeah, I remember Dean Malenko very much as a cruiserweight, and just, man, him and I hate to bring it up, but him and Benoit were a badass tag team. They were two just of the baddest guys that I've ever seen wrestling. That whole like little generation there of Malenko, Benoit, Jericho, it was like a latter day four in a way. And I believe he was tied to the Four Horsemen for a long time, and he was. Dude, I haven't seen many people wrestle the way he wrestles. He would bounce between, stiff styles to lucha libre to old school deep South wrestling with, the deep holds, like, the figure four and everything. And it was really cool to see somebody who could do all of it and then give a hell of a hardcore match right after that. So he definitely has the discipline to be a wonderful coach. He's been a producer for WWE for a long, long time. If you go back and you actually read some of the notes, he was the producer for a lot of the best WrestleMania matches for the past 10 years, as well as other pay-per-view matches. So he knows his shit. He can help these kids learn. He can help the older guys learn. And I mean, it's just one of those things, like, you and I've talked about Arn joining AEW as soon as the non-compete clauses run out.
Sure.
This is the same kind of a thing. This is a different kind of a style. If Dean Malenko is not their head coach going forward, I would be very, very surprised.
Yeah, Dean Malenko, like I said, I haven't seen as much of his stuff as you have, but I have seen a lot of his stuff, and he's a legend. He's a big mind to bring in.
Yeah,
I think he's as big a deal as Arn to bring into this company.
Without a doubt. I mean, Arn is a different style, but has more of like the promo and the knowledge there. Dean is more of, I've worked with everybody who you consider your hero, and I taught them things.
Jonathan, we've arrived.
We are here.
Only an hour and 5 into the fucking thing, right? Let's talk first about the buy-in, a pre-show that aired for an hour before Double or Nothing on supposedly a bunch of platforms, although YouTube was all fucked up.
Yeah, I started trying to watch it on YouTube. I told my dad to watch it on YouTube, but we couldn't get it to work, so we flipped over to BR Live, where even though it wasn't actually listed, the show started at 7 instead of 8.
Yeah, that was exactly our experience where we were. Because I was like, oh, it's not listed, so I guess I'll have to watch it on YouTube. And then somebody in Discord, again, Discord,
it's live.
Discord being very helpful, was like, BR, it's live on BR Live. So we went over there and watched it on there.
Which, for people who are, still interested in AEW after Double or Nothing, Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen are both listed on BR Live as of now.
That's correct. No prices. Yeah, no prices yet.
But they're there, so that's good news.
That's great news for those of us that want to follow them, as we'll talk about later. And in an instant, everything has changed. Gone is the BTE but a wrestling show production values, replaced by gorgeous graphics, sets, and just production values on par with the competition. Some coverage issues withstanding. And I think that is absolutely what the show needed. From the get-go, the buy-in, like, production values needed to be the Trojan horse that gets the product to reluctant or uninformed fans. Like, production values aren't the only thing, but they're a big fucking thing. And this show delivered. It didn't have, it wasn't without its hiccups. But I was absolutely blown away by the production on the show. The lighting was very similar too. Like, if you were a WWE diehard, you could have watched this show without skipping a beat, man. There really wasn't the thing that was the most different was that they used the more painful looking Japanese tables. Like that was,
yeah, dude, I was noticing that. Those were not tables that you're meant to go through.
It's not particle board. It's like fucking plywood.
Yeah, you're going through actual wood, people.
Yeah.
One thing I did read about on Reddit from someone was at Double or Nothing is something that was very cool that they did is whenever as they were doing promos and intros and everything, they were doing normal lighting. As soon as they rang the bell for a match to start, the house lights went down completely.
Nice.
Which was really great for, this people who have sensory issues, as well as just people who want to try and watch a fucking show without a laser beam searing their retinas.
Right. Yeah.
WWE.
Yeah, the crowd doesn't need to be lit up during the match. Why would that need to be happening during the match? You're watching the fucking action, right?
Yeah. Why does the crowd need to be green?
Yeah, man. I agree. But yes, I thought that was the biggest thing, was like, what's production going to be like for this show? And I think they created
a fucking mystery, dude.
I think with a team that's never really done this before, they created a product that was, with the exception of a very few minor hiccups, just as competent as any WWE production that you might see.
Yeah, and the hiccups that were present are growing pains, things that can be easily fixed. But just the step up from All In, they learned from what they did. They took what they learned and they iterated upon that. And then now we have Double or Nothing, where they fixed many of the issues that were present in All In. The biggest offender to you and I was the lack of ring mics at All In.
Yeah,
that was taken care of from moment one of Double or Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Jonathan, you had a question to ask?
Yeah, so randomly sprinkled throughout the Double or Nothing notes, I have questions from Carissa that she texted me as we were doing notes, and I was like, okay, I have a list of questions. Do you want me to do these all at once, or you want me to put them in there? And we just decided to put them in there as they come up.
So let's start with the Casino Battle Royale, okay?
Yeah. So her first question was in response to specifically Jimmy Havoc during the Battle Royale, as well as later during the title reveal scene. Staple guns, really?
The staple gun ain't nothing to fuck with, man.
No, it's really not. And I tried to explain to her that, hardcore wrestling is a thing, but she was still just really caught up on.
She's seen Hell of War. She knows.
I think she blocked that out.
Let's go through the Battle Royale. Clubs first. MJF, Cutler, Sunny Days, Michael Nakazawa, and Dustin Thomas start. MJF was on fire the entire night.
Dude, the first one was the most fucked up.
He started out by calling Dustin Thomas Lieutenant Dan, which was horrible. Got the crowd The crowd, when someone says something like that, you immediately know who they are. You know what I mean?
You know.
Nakazawa used some baby oil to make himself very slippery.
Even the commentary crew was really creeped out by this, and that made it better.
It's a strategy. It's an erotic strategy. Diamonds move in second. That's Brian Pillman Jr., Isaiah Cassidy, Jimmy Havoc, Joey Janela, and Sean Spears. MJF immediately pokes Sean Spears in the eyes and then does the 10 sign and then turns it into a Stone Cold salute in his face. Spears hits MJF with a fireman's carry neckbreaker and returns the gesture. Spears, for some reason, had really weird contact lenses in. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was really weird. I noticed that as well. I know Pentagon does that to wrestle with, but that's part of his gimmick.
It seems weird on the Perfect 10.
Sean Spears had it in there. It was cool.
Is he supposed to be a lizard person, maybe? The idea is that he's a reptilian?
Well, he's got a lot of competition with other reptiles, but sure.
Next up comes the Hearts. Mr. Ass, Glacier, Jungle Boy, Mark Quinn, and Ace Romero. Nakazawa.
I don't know who that Mark Quinn guy was, but he was entertaining.
He's from Private Party, I believe.
Okay.
Nakazawa is the first to hit the floor as Janela lights up a smoke in the middle of the ring. Glacier.
I did have to tell her, I was like, okay, just so you know, Joey Janela is a crazy person and might try to stab someone.
He's a bad boy. He's a bad boy. Okay.
And then I started explaining to her about Penelope and that whole drama that's there, and she was like, wow, that's awkward.
Yeah, wrestling is awkward.
The Janela thing is actually more awkward.
Well, yes. Janela, she broke up with Janela. Now she's dating Kip Sabian, right?
Yes.
Glacier shoots Sunny Days with Mist, which freezes him. He's supposed to just be Sub-Zero, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much.
that's his character. Okay, so he did some Sub-Zero shit, and
great, man.
And Sunny Days is eliminated. Yeah, like suburban dad Sub-Zero though. It's weird.
Yeah, we're moving past that, and I'm still just picturing Glacier from the '90s when WCW and he did that shit, but not whole. That's the football coach, Glacier.
Sunny Days is eliminated. MJF eliminates Glacier. The cigarette that Janela lit is now stuck to his face for some reason that we weren't shown, which is probably the best possible outcome.
That's what they said in the commentary is that Jimmy Havoc somebody put the cigarette out on his forehead.
I don't know why he chose to light up in the middle of the match. He should have seen that coming, but
it's fucking Joey Janela. What do you expect? The guy's a crazy person.
Yeah, he's a bit of a trash man. Spades enter next. Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, Sunny Kiss, Tommy Dreamer, and that's it. There actually was no 20th guy until later. And then they kept on later saying that there were 22 combatants in the match. There weren't. There were 22 total because the Spades only had 4 dudes enter. And then Orange Cassidy comes in later. But
yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, I think that they did just miscount somewhere. I don't know what the deal was, but yeah, there was only 4 people here.
Okay, but that's how it was. Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, Sunny Kiss, Tommy Dreamer come in. Dreamer brings some weapons, and now the Joker comes in, Hangman Page, which very few people guessed. We did have somebody who was really thinking it in the Discord, but
I mean, me and you talked about it last week during the episode last week, and we were both like, yeah, no, they'll just give him another match. They won't put him in a battle royale.
Right.
And then, damn it.
Then here come like basically all the eliminations. Romero eliminates Stunt. Jungle Boy eliminates Romero. Dustin Thomas eliminates Spears. MJF eliminates Dustin Thomas. Brandon Cutler eliminates Mr. Ass. MJF eliminates Cutler.
There was a really good spot with MJF and Mr. Ass where he was just standing there and Mr. Ass was just stone cold, just staring him down, and then just fucked MJF up. It was great.
Luchasaurus chokeslams Janela over the top rope down through a Japanese-style table at ringside, which was brutal.
He landed so awkwardly.
He landed on his fucking shoulders, dude. It was horrible.
It looked like he just landed straight on his neck. And then Penelope Ford just stood there and just watched the whole thing like a car crash, man. It was amazing.
Sunny Kiss hits Tommy Dreamer with locomotion butt. Dreamer eliminates Kiss. Okay, now is where Orange Cassidy shows up. He's number 20. I
think the way that they explain this is A, dude's super baked, and B, he's kind of like, the Pokemon Slowpoke. He just moves in complete slow motion. He's just chill,
dude. He's just chill as fuck. You don't get it because you're not chill like he is, but
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. He was supposed to come out with the Spades, but he took time, and just the full delayed reaction. He's straight up like Slowpoke, man. It just takes a while. And then the whole Orange Cassidy with attacking Tommy Dreamer was goddamn magic.
In like a totally chill way. It's like totally just soft kicking him, dude.
And then super kicked him. And
Dreamer throws him over the top rope. He bumps to the floor basically without using his hands, and then it's just like, oh, okay.
A guy did not give a shit.
Fucking a weird character. And all these people were like sports-centric presentation. That means there won't be characters, right? What the fuck? Jimmy
I just hope we see more of Orange Cassidy because that was some fucking magical shit.
Jimmy Havoc attacks Tommy Dreamer's nutsack with a staple gun, which apparently popped Carissa in a big way. Jimmy Havoc
Yeah, I mean, Steve-O did that. Look how that worked out.
Yeah, he's still famous for some reason. Jimmy Havoc eliminates Tommy Dreamer. Havoc eliminates Jungle Boy. Final four is Paige, Jimmy Havoc, MJF, and Luchasaurus. And MJF has suddenly recognized the tactical error in pissing everybody in the world off, right? Everyone attacks him at the same time. He rolls out to ringside, and the rest of them don't go after him because apparently they've never been in a battle royal before, or seen one for that matter. Luchasaurus.
They just figured he eliminated himself because he was afraid. That's my only thought, I guess. I don't know.
Luchasaurus eliminates Jimmy Havoc. Paige has almost nothing left. Like, his knee is in terrible shape. He sold it super well.
He really did. I was very impressed by that. That was another thing I had to explain to Carissa. She was like, "Is he really okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a work, sweetie.
He's fine. He's fine."
Yeah.
Paige when his knee actually does hurt. That's when he won't show you.
Yes.
Paige eliminates Luchasaurus via a rope, pulling down the top rope. The bell rings as MJF slides in and throws Hangman over the top rope and begins to celebrate, but Hangman holds on. Buckshot lariat to MJF. If his leg was really messed up, he just couldn't do that move.
Oh, God, no.
How much bottom foot impact there is on that move.
The way he does that lariat is so explosive. It's insane. I love it.
Paige eliminates MJF for the win. And that's the end of the match. I thought that it was fine for a battle royal. I felt like the way that it was set up was kind of weird. That like everybody got in the ring and then they started doing eliminations. It almost didn't really make sense that they did a staggered entrance battle royal if they weren't going to really do anything with that. But
and there was no like real big pops because of how they did the entrances.
Yeah,
so, which is fine. This is one of those things. It's take it, iterate upon it, try it again next time. I'm not mad at it. I enjoyed the whole thing, so I'm fine with it. Let's
as far as pre-show battle royales go, like it was great,
more entertaining.
Great. It was great. It didn't change my mind about the possibilities of a battle royal, but it was great. Next was a hilarious sketch with Kylie Ray and the two librarians that ends in a shush-off.
The best part of this was just in the Discord when your brother just posted and was like, "Is that Blue Pants?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude. Where you been?"
Yes, he's been living under a rock with two children. That's where he's been. Two young baby children. That's what happens to your life. Like, time just passes, and then you wake up like 30 years later. Like, what the fuck happened? I assume. I don't know.
You just pop in every once in a while to his life and just see the devastation the children
I'm like, hey,
cause.
What's going on? Glad I'm only here for a minute. Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara in the first ever singles match in AEW. Man,
No big deal about that.
I thought it was fine.
It was all right.
It's good. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with being just great, and I thought it was great. It just wasn't amazing. And I feel like the whole first half of this show was deeply overshadowed by the entire second half of this show. So
100%. Funny thing, I took a picture of a Snapchat of Sammy Guevara as he was doing his entrance. I sent it to a friend of mine. I was like, "Oh, hey, I found your favorite wrestler." And her response back is like, "Why is he my favorite wrestler? He looks like Justin Bieber wearing something on his head." Like, oh my God, thank you.
Everybody thinks it. I'm glad somebody's saying it, Aubrey Edwards is your referee for this match. Guevara enters wearing a deeply offensive panda headdress, okay? They're endangered. What?
I guess that is one thing that did happen during the press conference that we didn't talk about is like, during the press conference, when Sammy and Kip did their weigh-in, Sammy did have a full heel turn and went full dickbag.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a dickbag, though. So, but it was like legit, like heel turn for AEW. He's going to be heel, which is good because he is one. As Cody has said,
he's a piece of shit.
You can just see him heel, right? These two have a great. First, I want to say Sabian enters in a slightly less offensive leather jacket with one sleeve.
Yeah, the one sleeve did make it offensive.
These two have a great, if not particularly memorable, opening junior heavyweight style match. There is a wild mid-match spot where Sammy and Kip tumble over the top rope to the outside off of a suplex, which I thought was awesome. Guevara hits a shooting star press from the apron onto Sabian as he lay draped upon the barricade. Sammy goes for a 630, lands on Sabian's knees. Sabian quickly capitalizes with an inverted Michinoku driver. 1, 2, 3. The winner, Kip Sabian. And immediately I'm like, oh my God. All of my guesses are wrong, which wasn't the case, but it was close. Anybody who voted with us last week.
That's just where the bad train started for you, buddy.
Next, we see a quick workout vignette for a new female talent named Sadie Gibbs. She's hot. I don't really know anything else about her. JR arrives at the table, and we see a black truck that Marvez calls a limousine. It's a 4-door truck.
Like that's just an F-150.
Marvez had a lot of sort of nerves-related issues throughout the night, so. Out steps the Nightmare family. Next, Kenny recreates the thumbs up kid meme in front of his computer.
So, hilarious thing when the Nightmare family is stepping out and more so when we get back into the intro thing is Chris is like, oh, who's the lady with them? I was like, that's Cody's wife, and she was like, damn, he did well.
Yeah, man. Next, Matt is walking down a hall when he comes face to face for the very first time with Michael Nakazawa. An amazing moment, and Michael Nakazawa knows, right? He's been watching the show.
He's like, hi, I'm Michael.
Michael Nakazawa. Next, Matt bumps into Nick, and then both are approached by Q, who has no apple in this scene, which is weird.
Very weird. It was very strange. I didn't like it.
He is trying to give the Bucks their credentials and then gets a super kick for his efforts. We then roll right into the BTE title screen. Right, they apparently don't need credentials. When they get stopped by security, they're going to wish that they had those credentials. But this was such a BTE segment, but shot with really nice cameras and audio, which made me be like, oh man,
Stop filming this shit on your fucking phone.
Yeah, I understand guerrilla style or whatever, but like you could get a Rebel T7 for like $800.
Yeah. Just sell like 10 t-shirts. You guys are fine.
And then you would have DSLR quality footage.
Yeah, just sell a couple t-shirts. You're a t-shirt company, right?
I know you guys have it. The show could be much better. Although, who knows if they'll continue to do it.
$500 to your fucking children for Easter.
But it was funny. The cameras they were using were so nice for the back. Like, so much nicer than what WWE uses, too. Like, you could see the sort of... The focal length was really tight, and they had to keep adjusting it and stuff like that. And it looked great. It looked fucking great, man.
Dude, those were straight up 4K cameras, and
I imagine they're probably more than that.
Probably, but they're definitely movie level cameras.
Yeah.
But dude, that just gives me the hope that they're putting out like a really, really tight like Blu-ray release of Double or Nothing.
Or just to have it. I was telling this in Discord. I went to see Norm Macdonald's last special when they taped it for Netflix. And the camera that they shot that show with was like 16K or some shit. Like just some outrageous camera that could just do it. Like it looked like a fucking Civil War cannon that they had off to the side of the stage. That's how fucking huge this camera was. And I'm sure they're just for future proofing reasons, why wouldn't you just do that? If you're renting cameras anyway and money isn't really an object the way that money isn't really an object for this company, then like fuck yeah, like get the fucking 8K cameras and shoot everything up super hard. Because
the funniest thing about those cameras though is like the kind of computer you need to transcode that video.
Oh yeah. Oh
is
yeah.
insane.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. uh, Lastly, before the buy-in says farewell, the EVPs and Brandy take the stage to welcome everybody to Double or Nothing and joke about the attendance one last time as well.
Yeah, it's 20,000, man.
It's 20,000. You round up in pro wrestling, right? The feed cuts out just a little bit early, unfortunately. But again, the production issues with the show were like small things that were like, you guys should have timed that better.
I was a little worried about it when it did cut out because I was like, oh shit, do we gotta change the feeds or whatever?
Yeah.
There was such just a long pause there. And I was like, oh, okay. We're good.
Yeah, I was worried that the feed had cut out, and then I was like, oh, okay, here we are. It was cool, man. The buy-in was cool. Nothing so crazy happened that I think it would have enticed anybody who wasn't already going to buy it. I know there are people who didn't buy it who watched it and were like, yeah, it's cool. I think everybody was waiting to see... Just like with All In, if the production values were going to be there for them, and I think anybody who was on the fence for that reason and would have gone and bought the pay-per-view after the buy-in. So,
yeah, I think the majority of people who are just on the fence were waiting for Double or Nothing period to be over, reading like, okay, they fixed the production things, I'm going to buy the next one. Because that was a legit concern after All In, because some of the production stuff was not there, and it did cause some issues.
The audio was not good throughout the event.
The ending,
in hindsight, the ending had to be rushed. Although I don't think that match feels short going back and watching it now. But the backstage segments looked like they were filmed on someone's fucking phone or some shit. And people want more than
Cody
that.
did say during his interviews that the most important thing to him about Double or Nothing was that the Bucks got to put on the match that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
That because they were not able to do that at All In.
Double or Nothing opens with a beautiful rendition of the national anthem sung by Chris Jackson and his family. Chris Jackson, for the uninitiated, is a collaborator initially with... he would have come to prominence through his collaboration with Lin-Manuel Miranda, played Benny in his original show In the Heights, and then played George Washington in Hamilton. And since then has gone on to win Grammys and Emmys and a whole bunch of shit because he's an unbelievable talent. It wasn't perfect. Singing a cappella is hard.
Especially trying to do it in a round.
Right. If you don't believe me, sing this song unaccompanied into a recorder and then see how long you can listen to it before you want to die. For 3 singers unaccompanied, one of whom was a young girl, like on the cusp of her body changing, they killed it. Despite a bit of a rocky start with some of the notes, like by the end of the song, I was like, yeah, guys. Because I know that shit's fucking hard.
Yeah, even so, the national anthem is a very, very difficult song to sing. And a lot of people don't understand that because it changes pitch like 6 times. So it was cool. It was a cool moment. I thought it was really interesting. This is great to bring out a very semi-famous musician who's very involved with Culture City and his family to sing the national anthem. I don't understand why we still need to sing the national anthem everywhere, but it's a thing you do.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, then have somebody cool. Unlike the lady they had last time that I never heard of before and haven't heard of from since.
Yeah, that one was weird.
The set is old school meets new school. It's got entrance tunnels, which is an old school thing that I really love that WWE doesn't do anymore. Now they walk out from behind a panel,
Gotta bit him in the ass later, though.
But it's also got this sort of left side oriented giant stage prop that they use for establishing shots and things like that. And they kind of had that sweeping camera motion from it that WWE does all the time, which I thought was funny. It's not a mind blower. It doesn't look low rent either, I didn't think. The ring and barricades.
They definitely spent some money on it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely expensive, but it wasn't like a WrestleMania set or anything like that. But it was in the MGM Grand. Like, it's not that fucking big.
Right, and it's also not that just gigantic Titantron that needs to be carted out at every single goddamn show.
The ring and barricades look like a fucking ring and barricades. There's no obnoxious LED boards all over everything. And, it was nice.
It looks like you go into a wrestling show.
The more and more throughout this show, as we move through this show, the biggest, huge takeaway for me was I was sitting there like, man, I did not realize how long it's been since I've watched a pro wrestling show. You know,
it makes you sit there, like
it makes you think like when Vince says, "Oh, we're not a pro wrestling company, we're a sports entertainment company."
Yeah,
he's fucking right. Sports entertainment is clearly a different thing than this thing that we saw last night.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, we watched pro wrestling.
Yeah,
WrestleMania is sports entertainment.
That's so weird because it's so close. Daniel Bryan said in his book that he realized that WWE isn't pro wrestling; it's like a parody of pro wrestling.
At this point it is.
He's not wrong.
No, that's completely accurate. Going into this and thinking about that was very funny seeing the amount of WWE performers, New Japan people that were like, man, I hope this show is great tonight, and it was just like, okay, you guys are. I understand you're supporting your friends, but you guys are seriously ballsy for putting this shit out there.
With all due respect, what are they gonna do? Fire them?
It is Vince.
Right. But Go ahead, fire me. I'll go over there.
Could you? I know this will never happen, but could you imagine the New Day in AEW?
Yes, I can.
Just the amount of actual fun shit that they could do.
It would be great, man. It would be great. And I love that everyone in their tweets was like, Sasha Banks sent out a tweet that was like, I love pro wrestling, right? Which is just a dig further at like her being like, yeah, me and my superstar friends are over here watching a pro wrestling show. Thank you.
Yeah, and it just went to show that like, as fearful as WWE is, and as that everything that they've done in the past few weeks to try and hurt AEW, all of your talent is watching this show.
You should be too.
That should tell you something.
Triple H was watching this show. If he wasn't, then he's a fool. But he definitely was. There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way that anyone could have walked in the room and be like, why are you watching this? And he'd be like, because it's my biggest competition right now. Why aren't you watching it?
Right? Not only that, is like, this is my industry. This is important. I need to know what's going on.
I'm watching tape, dude. I'm a fighter,
Exactly.
SCU versus Strong Hearts was the opening contest on the main show. I don't have a lot of notes about it. Daniels.
It was a good match.
It was a good match. I thought it was. I'm gonna get into what my thoughts were on it. Daniels hits the ring with the very first Freddie Mercury gimmick of the night. They do their sort of SCU thing, Strong Hearts enter. This match is stiff as fucking shit, and totally just cool and fluid. But it really didn't have a ton of big spots, and that's why my breakdown on it is fairly short compared to other matches. Lindemann's gear makes me uncomfortable. Okay, the man's got short boots and trunks, no knee pads, no arm pads. He looks like he's naked out there. I can't handle it.
Yeah, it did straight up just look like it was Hangman had just left his apartment in his cowboy boots and trunks. I didn't mind it as much as you did, but yeah, this match was very stiff, and you would have thought all 6 of these guys had been working together for 20 years, as fluid as these spots were and as stiff as this was. It was a fucking phenomenal match. They did some crazy shit. The trios rules that AEW has in place were very, very good. They allow the competitors to be in the ring for 10 seconds or a 10 count, which is something that other promotions need to do, because then you can actually do multi-man moves properly without the ref looking like a dick bag for, you need to get out of the ring, you need to get out of the ring.
Yes. Let's take this moment here at the top of the show to talk about commentary throughout the night. Now, my observations on commentary are only really from the first viewing that I did, because the second viewing that I did for notes, I did at a much faster playback speed just so I could get through everything, because it was so much show. And so but commentary for me throughout the night, I enjoyed so much that I was listening, because I usually don't like commentary in matches. I tolerate it. Like, I would much rather just watch a match without commentary, because I don't need a man to tell me what the moves are called. I know what the moves are called. I don't need a man to tell me what the story is. I can fucking see the story, right? But
there's many episodes of Podcast Underground and just various other wrestling podcasts that Bryce has been on where he goes on absolute tirades against commentary about how much he hates it.
It's totally not my thing, because it's awful most of the time. Lucha Underground, for the most part, I found tolerable. But
that's because we were laughing at Vampiro the whole
Sure.
time.
Commentary in general, I think is like a TV show that thinks it's on the radio. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But a lot of people it's really important to, for whatever reason. I guess in the same way that a laugh track is important to a show that's not naturally funny on its own. Maybe it just helps matches that aren't very good seem better.
I could say for me personally, by having ADD, ADHD, commentary keeps me a little bit grounded, because I may not be actually paying attention to the screen and what's happening on the screen. I might be on my computer or my phone just, doing something because my attention is splintered.
And I fully admit it's because I'm a fucking weirdo. I'm a strange man. I've seen every Charlie Chaplin movie ever made. That's who I am as a person, so I don't have a problem staring at a screen and taking in all the information for hours at a time, because I'm fucked up. But I thought that the commentary provided here by JR, by Excalibur, and by that other fucking guy that they have there, who seems like he's only there to train in case something happens to JR. Because I felt like JR and Excalibur on their own would have been fine.
It would have been fine. It would have been absolutely fine. I agree, because they did carry the lion's share of commentary last night. I enjoyed Excalibur and JR. JR is very, very good when he is in the color role and can just talk about what's happening and, pepper in his experience and his knowledge, and not have to be, carrying the workload of doing play-by-play. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I would expect JR to be on play-by-play, but he's older now. He can't keep up. He doesn't have that step anymore.
And a lot of these guys are doing moves he couldn't even possibly imagine. You know what I mean?
And as well as they're going at lightning speed. Yeah.
So Excalibur's the perfect play-by-play guy, because he's been in the trench with this style being developed, where it was developed for the last 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was a phenomenal commentator last night. It was a great time. The funny thing I remember is when they did a shot of them when JR was coming in, and your brother popped in Discord, like, what the fuck is Excalibur doing with a mask and a suit on?
That's his thing, dog. That's what he does.
That's Lucha style, man.
But I was so, being who I am as a person, I found it was so lovely that the commentary wasn't, it didn't bother me all night. Didn't bother me at all.
What really stood out about the commentary, that is probably what made you enjoy it most, is you weren't being bombarded by bullshit every second.
Oh yeah.
There were pauses in the commentary where it was quiet, like if you were watching a soccer match. So they took pauses. They didn't just feel the need to fill every single second.
The commentator wasn't trying to get catchphrases over and shit like that.
There was no catchphrases. There was no buzzwords. It was just what's happening in the ring, not we're not going to believe the match that's coming up next as in the middle of a very important match.
Right.
Yeah.
Strong Hearts ended up getting a near fall off of a fantastic quick sequence of moves. Both teams employing that sort of strategy throughout the match. Instead of sort of tandem moves, they were kind of doing sort of like individual things in very quick succession. Daniels pins Lindemann off of a best Meltzer ever with Kazarian. The winner, SCU. A great, energetic, appropriately timed contest. It's important to note, post-show interviews revealed that Tony sat in Gorilla and timed out the show, which is crazy. That's something that usually takes people forever to learn how to do, and I think he did an excellent job considering that he'd never done it before.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for the first half of the show, Cody was sitting there doing it with him.
Right.
Because of some things that they posted on Instagram, but that he essentially did the second half of the show by himself is fucking amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It shows you how that guy's got to be just super smart.
Yeah, he is, man. Just from the interviews, you can tell he's like lightning quick.
And I'm sure he was prepared with notes about how long things are supposed to go, when he's supposed to do it, right? Call it and do the shit, right? But it's a very difficult thing to do with a lot of pressure, and he handled it. He handled it in a way that I didn't really notice a difference between the first and second half of the show, personally, when I was watching it. Now, granted, I was hanging with friends and talking in Discord and stuff like that, but I didn't really notice much of a difference. Kylie Ray versus Dr. Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose, as it was on the card. So there's a question from Carissa on this one?
Yeah, so it was not so much a question as much as a comment. So her question was, does everyone else find Smiley Girl, which I fixed to be Kylie Ray, so annoying? Which brings back your Muppet comment.
I think it's a little over the top. Now, I know that there are people out there who probably love that character, who think she's great, and that's wonderful that that's there for you. I think she seems like a long
like
day at the
Bailey,
beach.
but on crack, man.
Yeah, it's
a little too much.
It's a little too much.
It's okay, but I can see where this is going to get very, very frustrating in the long term.
It's just that it doesn't seem totally genuine. It's funny that they have this character built around Panda Boy. What's his fucking name? Sammy Guevara. About him like being nice, but it doesn't.
We can just go with Panda Boy.
But it doesn't. Panda Boy. He's just Panda Boy. Built around him being nice, but it doesn't seem real. And then Kylie Ray is like, I think, really like that in her character, and maybe she's really like that in real life. Jesus Christ, I fucking hope not. But
that's goddamn terrifying.
But maybe she is.
Just, you just wake up on that random day where it's gonna be a shit day, and you just walk out of your bedroom and there's just smiles like, what the fuck are you so happy about?
It's good to know that it's not like a sex thing. You know what I mean? I walked out of Avengers Endgame being like, oh, that scene with the women, I wasn't mad about it because I'm not a fucking asshole, you know what I mean? But I was like, clearly that wasn't for me, so like I don't even feel like I should have an opinion on it because it wasn't fucking for me. But it's good to know that this isn't that sort of thing, and that it's really just kind of a personality thing, whether you think Kylie is genuine or not. But yes, I found her with her character. I was like, oh Jesus, wow. Paul Turner is in the black and white for this match. During Britt Baker's entrance, JR says, for my friends in Oklahoma, DMD means that she's a dentist, which I absolutely love that line. Just talking shit about his own state. All three women.
You got to take those hits as they come.
Right.
But, I mean, Oklahoma, it's not so bad. Me, Georgia is like, I don't want to talk about all those things I don't agree with.
Just seems like if he was gonna throw bows, he could have thrown it at either Georgia or Alabama. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, easily. Just low-hanging fruit there.
All three women enter, and then out comes Chief Branding Officer Brandy Rhodes in her wrestling gear. Okay, Jonathan.
When you're sitting on the couch and your girlfriend is like, wow, she is fucking smoking.
She's a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
She says that she wasn't lying when she said that she thought this triple threat match would be a great match. Trouble is, she doesn't want a great match. She wants a match that is awesome. And out walks motherfucking Awesome Kong, who, an American legend. For people who don't know Awesome Kong, she worked forever as a TNA knockout back in the day. She worked briefly in WWE under the ring name Karma, and then was basically fired for getting pregnant. And then, how dare you?
That's against the law.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know what else is against the law? Having one of your employees murder a woman and then covering it up. You know what else is fucking despicable? Having a woman get raped by a soldier on a USO tour, basically, and then telling her to walk it off and not tell anybody. WWE. They make mistakes.
Guilty of all of these things.
So yeah, it was kind of a messed up situation. And she's a monster, dude. She's so great. I love Awesome Kong.
Scary, dude.
Yeah, dude. She's fucking awesome, dude. Nyla just found a bitch that she can't break when looking at Awesome Kong, right? Like,
dude, that was the best part of when Awesome Kong came out and Nyla was legit freaking out and being like, no.
They immediately have big girl heat, right? Like, just across the road, they're like, and the match has fundamentally changed now. Priority number 1, stop Awesome Kong, because it has now become a fatal 4-way match.
Which, to be honest, when Brandy first came out, I was like, oh, okay, knew this was going to happen. Brandy's inserting herself.
Yeah, she was wearing her gear as a fake out, and then it was Awesome Kong that came in. Which was cool. I detest Kylie's personality, but I think she's great in the ring.
She's got a really solid moveset, and she did some crazy shit.
Yeah, she did some really awesome crazy shit, dude.
That gimmick needs to stop.
Nyla hits Kylie with a hella deep spine buster. Kylie gets a near fall after turning a Nyla Rose powerbomb into a sunset flip. Big Tower of Doom spot brings Awesome Kong back into the match with a lengthy absence. What a killer. Kong teases a powerbomb from the apron to the floor on Baker, but Baker fights out. Kong drops to the floor and gets spear tackled into the steel steps by Nyla Rose. Baker pins Kylie Rae for the win in the center of the ring. Winner, Britt Baker. I thought that bell to bell, this was a great match for the women. I thought it went off awesome. They did some stuff that I would never expect to see from the women. It was super well organized. Easily as good as...
They did some stuff in there that I wouldn't expect from men.
Yeah, easily as good as some of the male 4-ways I've seen in the past. My only issue is the timing on the finish I felt was not correct. Nyla drives Awesome Kong into the ring steps, and then they both had to sell it for nearly 3 minutes. And it was just a spear tackle into ring steps. It wasn't a huge move. So either that move needed to be bigger, or what Britt Baker and Kylie Rae were doing in the ring needed to be much faster for it to really make sense. But it's kind of a small thing. I don't know. I would have cut down what they did in the ring, because as much as I liked the sequence that they went through, I did find myself before the pin happened, I turned to Shane. I was like, so you think they're going to be out for the rest of the match? And Shane was like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's
I thought it was great.
The other thing is, I think Allie was on commentary for this one, which was cool, setting up the match at Fight for the Fallen, so that'll be fun. And then we had the second question from Carissa, which is semi-related to this. She was curious if we were going to have any intergender matches in AEW. She was very excited about the potential of that, even more so after telling her about the summit that we watched in Lucha Underground. Especially Ivelisse versus Matanza was the one I described to her, and she was very excited. It's the question she actually has, are the girls gonna fight the dudes? Because I want to see that. That'll be awesome. So I think they've already begun setting that up with All In with Jordan Grace. It's possible. We don't really know, but
it's difficult to say. It's not an easy issue. It should be, but it's not. And I believe we've talked about this before on the show. Or maybe our last fucking half decade of podcasting is just falling in on itself at this point.
It's all bounding together.
But I think with the sort of more sport-like presentation they're going for, I would have said before, I don't think it's likely, unfortunately, because I think it's ridiculous that it isn't. But that said, after seeing this show, it wouldn't necessarily shock me because of the things that they did on this show that I would have said they won't do that. It's not mainstream enough, but they fucking did it. Right. Yeah, so, we'll see. I know it pisses off old guys because, quite frankly, I think the reason it pisses off old guys is because they're fucking sexist.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. That is the entirety of the issue.
They can't suspend. First of all, this whole suspend your disbelief argument, which I understand I'm the wrong person to be talking to because we come from a Lucha Libre coverage background, right? As we're going to talk about later in the show, because there were issues that people had with the tag team match. That sort of stuff about, oh, my precious realism. How am I ever going to believe that it's a real fight? It's not. It's not.
If this was
it's
a
pro
real
wrestling.
Fight, you wouldn't be, throwing a Frankensteiner on.
If
somebody.
it was a real fight, you wouldn't be watching a show called AEW. You'd be watching a show called UFC, where they have real fights. That's where that shit is. If you want to see, pro wrestling's a different thing. It's a different thing now. Everybody knows it's fake. You're not going to get people back with it's a fake fight, but it feels like a real fight. No. Nobody gives a fuck. They want
if you want
superheroes.
A real fight, it's punching people in the face, not flippy shit.
And when in a superhero comic book, guess what? Wonder Woman fights guys, and it's okay. No one's like, hey, when Wonder Woman fought that guy, it was kind of like domestic abuse. You know why nobody says that? Because it's really stupid to say that. So
yeah, there's numerous instances where Wonder Woman goes toe to toe with essentially the god of death in the DC universe.
Yeah,
and holds her own. So there's no reason why girls can't fight guys. Now, I mean, I will give you there's some of the guys where there's a distinct size issue. But
Rey Mysterio fights Big Show. Nobody bats a fucking eye. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Plus, you hit somebody hard enough in the head. Guess what? Doesn't matter how fucking big they are.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the reason why I brought up Ivelisse versus Matanza. That was a straight up David versus Goliath match, and it was great.
Yeah.
Now, given Ivelisse is a crazy person and probably won't come to AEW, but I don't see why we couldn't have some intergender matches. Maybe not for titles or anything, but
man, you're barking up the right tree with me. It's just going to depend on whether or not they think they can do it. Yeah. And who knows? Who knows how Tony feels about that sort of thing? I know certainly the Bucks would be like, "Hey, let's do it. We do it all the time,
Do it, yeah."
But
yeah,
who knows? I mean, anybody who wants to get on their soapbox and argue about, like men are able to sustain more muscle mass than women, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's all true. But once again, I don't know how many times I have to say this, and I don't mean it as an insult. It's not real. It's not fucking real. It's storytelling.
I want those people to talk to Jordan Grace too, because she has way more muscle mass.
I'm afraid at the possibility that I might run into Jordan Grace at some point in my life and find myself sexually attracted to a woman who could kill me.
Easily
just snap me in half. And I'm a portly, robust man myself,
But she would easily just snap you in half.
She's awesome. God, I wish she'd come over.
Fucking Impact, man.
Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans. This match was awesome. This is where the show picks up for me and then just doesn't go back.
Yeah, exactly. I felt the same way about this one. It's like this is one of those matches where if you blink, you're gonna miss something because these guys ran at full speed the whole time. I was a little bummed out. There was nothing for Jack and Angelico to jump off of. But,
sure.
You can't have everything in the first day.
Right. Referee Bryce Remsburg in the stripes. JR seems genuinely in awe of Excalibur more than one occasion on the night. Calls him a genius at the start of this match. After a fairly clever spiel about the Best Friends that Excalibur recited without notes. No doubt due in part to him having worked with both men extensively for years. Chucky T especially.
They should have really just brought up the whole murder threat thing though.
They did a couple of times, but they were like really kind about it. Nevertheless, I'm sure Excalibur needed a moment after JR said "You're a genius" to him.
Fuck yeah, who wouldn't,
dude? But especially him, who's worked in commentary that long, and he's got Jim Ross being like, "That was fucking sweet, dude." Like,
yeah,
dude.
And the best part about that whole thing is you can tell it was 100% genuine too. Like that wasn't scripted at all. Like JR was impressed.
Yeah, he does this spiel, and then JR says, "Did you have that written down?" And and Excalibur goes, "No, I just off the top of my head." He goes, "You're a genius," which was great. I actually thought JR and Excalibur, beyond the other guy that was there, the reason why I wanted to see the both of them do it is I felt like they had a lot of chemistry. As a commentary team, and I'd love to see them kind of do stuff in the future on their own when they can. Because I think it would be cool to see them without the other guy kind of trying to learn his ropes in the way of what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of shitting on him a little bit, but I mean, he did for his.
He did great. He did great for his first time.
But there were some times where it was very clear, like, dude, look down at the fact sheet.
Right.
But it is what it is. I mean, he's learning. He's trying, and that's the biggest thing I can take away from this is like. It's a difficult thing to do,
dude. It's so hard.
A very big stage, man. If I tried to do that, I'd be so nervous I wouldn't be able to say anything. You
and I have tried to do it to some extent when we co-streamed that event.
Yeah,
and it was so fucking hard. You think it's easy, even if you know what the moves are called. You think it's easy, and it's not. It's so hard.
Yeah, I mean, your default is always like, man, that was really fucking cool. But then you realize, like, we've been saying that for the past 5 minutes. We have to say some different words.
That's not interesting at all. Nobody wants to hear that, right? It's so hard. So like, hats off to everybody involved. But oh man, I can't wait to see what it's like when two guys who like know their shit are just like going off on it, man. That's going to be the fucking wild shit, I think. But he should be there learning from those two guys, because if there's anyone in the world who can teach him by osmosis, it's those two guys.
For sure, yeah.
The match starts off fast and furious. Best friends come out on top, get distracted when they go for a hug, but they never get there as Jack and Angelico fire back. The crowd hates that they didn't get the hug. As always, Evans won't shut the fuck up throughout the entire match, just talking constantly about...
was the fucking best thing that the ring mics were working, because that is part of a Jack Evans match.
Oh yeah, no, that's the experience, dude.
Yeah. You have to have the full thing of him just talking out of his ass, like, I'm a Dragon Slayer, motherfucker. You're like 4'11", you little fuck. Go away.
There's a point where Chuck has to break up a pin and then starts loudly apologizing before he even breaks up the pin to referee Bryce Remsburg, as he does. Chuck and Trent are just so fucking funny. Sean had never seen the Best Friends before, and literally 20 seconds into this match, he was like, these guys are the greatest.
Chuck doesn't surprise me at all, man.
Chuck hits Evans with the Falcon Arrow. Evans kicks out, and Taylor yells, "Nobody kicks out of the Falcon Arrow." Trent hits an awesome DDT off the corner. Best Friends hit a number of brutal tandem moves, and then it's fucking hug time, dude. And the hug connects, and there's this hilarious smash zoom out with from the camera team. It was amazing. The crowd goes wild that they're fucking hugging in the ring. And it's one of those moments where you're like, God, I love wrestling.
Your brother's getting antsy.
Oh yeah, is he?
Yeah. Got a time estimate?
Well, tell him we'll go. Tell him we're gonna finish the matches. Fuck him. Tell him it'll be like 11.
2 a.m. bitch.
Best Friends hit Evan Evans with a tandem crucifix lift into a cutter. It's still not enough. Evans and Angelico come back now, nailing Trent with a bunch of tandem moves. Angelico lifts Trent in a fireman's carry. Jack leaps off of Trent's back into or onto Taylor at ringside. Buckle bomb into a 630 on Trent from Angelico and Jack. Sexy Chucky T breaks the pin. Best Friends hit a mix of the Doomsday Device with a flying knee. That was fucking awesome. Best Friends follow with a foot stomp mixed with an inverted pile driver that they call the Tag Team Crusher. 1, 2, 3. The winner, the Best Friends, in a big surprise to me. Big hug.
Same here, man.
Big hug from the Best Friends. Evans and Angelico extend their hands for a handshake, but Best Friends, they don't shake hands. So, of course, big four-way hug. The lights go out. Super Smash Brothers are here. And the crowd goes mild because nobody knows who the fuck these guys
everybody
are.
was fucking confused. I'm sitting there like, what the fuck's going on? These guys look like a fucking BDSM group.
They're a great tag team, but they really, even the Best Friends are kind of like a more famous team than Super Smash Brothers, unfortunately, in a lot of circles. So the lights go out again, and now there are masked minions everywhere who begin to attack both teams. Stu Dose destroys Evans with a disgusting backbreaker, and both men hit Trent with a gory special into a cutter as the minions form a human throne for the Smash Brothers to sit upon, and the lights go out again as we cut to a hype video.
That was actually really cool how they did the full throne
The
thing.
human throne was cool.
Before.
The rest of it, I probably wouldn't have done in hindsight.
No, if you'd had a different team, a more well-known team that came through and fucked these guys up, absolutely.
Right, like imagine, let's say it was the Revival.
Yeah.
Big pop. Perfect thing to do with the Revival. With these guys, I think maybe they overestimated what kind of reaction they were going to get. They were the only thing in the night where it was like, all right, big reveal, and then it happened and people were like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know who these guys were. I mean, I remember we talked about the Super Smash Bros. Being signed, but this was very much a cool, that's weird, who the fuck are those guys kind of thing. Yeah, if that had been exactly the Revival or just some other big tag team, you would have had a real big pop because it would have been like, oh fucking shit, dude, they just got laid out by the Revival. That's amazing. I can't wait to see that pay off. Yeah.
It is here that we cut to a hype video for All Out. August 31st, Sears Center, Chicago, Illinois. Tickets on sale June 14th, 2019.
You got your wish. They didn't call it All In too.
Good. That's a dumb name. Now, granted, they did have to take this from Flip's tailgate event that he did at All In, right? It was called All Out Party, right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah, but fuck Flip.
Whatever. It's fine. Fuck Flip. You know, I want to tell a story about Flip because Anthony can fucking wait. I want to tell a story about Flip, okay? I went down.
All this bitching about your brother in.
I drove down to Connecticut. Rhode Island?
Why?
Rhode Island, Connecticut. I'll tell you why, because the main event was Rey Mysterio versus Ricochet.
Okay, fair enough.
Before they went to WWE. Now, drove down there, first match on somebody that I don't remember versus Flip Gordon. Did not do a single flip the entire match.
What a piece
Very
of shit.
upset about it. Still, to this day, I see Flip Gordon, and I go, you know what? Fuck you, Flip Gordon. All Out. August 31, Sears Center, Chicago, Illinois. Tickets on sale June 14th, 2019.
You know, maybe that's one of the reasons why Cody hates him so much.
You could just see heel.
Yeah. Trying to take my wife.
We do not know what our plans for this will be yet. We're making a decision as the time is. But we are excited for it. It's going to be awesome. No matter what happens, we will be producing shows for this, of course. And I could not be more excited about it because it's going to be fucking awesome, dude.
It's going to be awesome. Great, dude. I'm stoked for it. I mean, it's a crazy weekend, but it's a year out from the first one. They should be doing this event. I'm really stoked for it. Whatever we end up planning to do is going to be a lot of fun for everybody involved. And yeah, man, it's going to be dope.
Let's move on now to the Joshi Atomicos match. Aubrey Edwards is back on deck for this match. Emi Sakura enters with the second Freddie Mercury gimmick of the night. These women beat the fucking piss out of each other.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about this match. It was fucking stiff as hell from a bunch of women. I mean, that's traditional Japanese style, but goddamn, it was stiff. I enjoyed the match. I didn't know any of these women coming in. It was really good seeing them. They put on a good show. There were parts of it that weren't great. There were parts of it that were kind of botchy. But you know what? It was essentially an exhibition match, and this put Joshi wrestling on the page for a lot of American viewers. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. To me, it may have been like one of the lower points of the card. Sure. But it's still fine. It was,
and the crowd was so wonderful about it, man. Nobody, most of the people in the crowd didn't know any of these women, and they gave them the time of day, and they fucking reacted, and they cared. And they didn't have, I'll be the first to say, I do not think that this match was earned for AEW. I think it's lovely that they took the time to spotlight something that they cared about, but I think expecting the crowd to be into this match was asking a little bit too much because they didn't know these people. But the crowd was there for them, dude, in a big way, which was great.
They definitely were, and the placement on the card was definitely supposed to be the quote unquote cooler space.
Yes,
because Dustin and Cody were next, so you're giving the crowd a chance to breathe.
Yeah,
but man, the crowd was into it. The crowd was hot for this match. They were down, so that's good news there. I don't know how TV crowds were doing, but it was a good match. It was fun, and I'm down for this. I hope we see more of this, with a little bit more, lead in and promos so that we can get to know these ladies.
Right. They did no promotion for this match.
No, this was it felt like 100% like, oh, last minute, we're doing this too. But, it was fun.
Emi Sakura puts Riho in a gorgeous Mexican surfboard. Tons of incredibly stiff strikes from everybody throughout this match. Aya Kong and Hikaru Shida face off. Waistbin versus kendo stick. Waistbin triumphs.
Oh, it's just so fucking random. It's just at a trash can.
No disqualification, of course, because fuck it. Emi Sakura starts a "We Will Rock You" chant in the venue, which the crowd ate up. Shida knees her in the face really fucking hard. Sakura pins Shida for such a convincing 2.9 that the bellman even jumps the gun and rings the bell, and the crowd chanted, "You fucked up, Adam," which was great.
Funny because that was one of the biggest things that people complained about is oh yeah, they're fucking up. And it's no. Yeah. The bellman really thought that was a done deal. It
adds to the realism, dude. Shut up. You're one thing, you want realism, and then when people make mistakes, you're like, oh, that's not realistic. People make mistakes. In the confusion, Shida hits Sakura with a running knee. 1, 2, 3 winner, Hikaru Shida, Ryo Abe, and Ryo Mizunami. I love the match. These women were complete unknowns to most of the crowd, but they totally took the crowd, and it was awesome. But we need to move on because we need to talk about Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes. Jonathan, try to unpack this to the best of your ability before we go into it.
This was everything I wanted this match to be.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dusty was sitting there watching this match wherever he is in the afterlife with a fucking smile on his face.
Dude, everything about this match, I have it in my notes later, man, but if you know anything about Dusty Rhodes and his actual career when he wasn't plunging toilets and wearing polka dots and shit because Vince didn't like him or whatever, I mean, there wasn't a magazine cover you could buy with him on it where he wasn't covered in his own blood or somebody else's. That's just the era of wrestling that it was, man.
Yeah.
So
80s wrestling was
outside of WWF was
outside of WWF. 80s, late 70s, early 80s wrestling was essentially the era of the red mask.
Right.
Yeah, man. The Dusty was, watching this match with a smile on his face because they did a Dusty match. This was an old school fucking WCW match with crazy spots, fucking blood everywhere. More blood than was intended, clearly.
You think so? You think so?
Yeah, you can fucking tell he cut too deep, man. You should not be fucking losing blood like that. Yeah, they wanted color in the match and they wanted a red face, but when you can see the blood actually gushing out, as his heart is pumping, you hit the vein, buddy. You cut too deep.
Earl Hebner. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, dude, this was everything I wanted it to be. I love this match so much, and it was fucking phenomenal. I wasn't expecting the post-match stuff, but dude, I'm down, man. I'm so in for it. I can't wait for what's to come.
Earl Hebner is the referee for this match, which again was perfect. Cody,
the only person that could have done this.
Cody's entrance opens with a suspiciously Triple H looking throne. This is of course the thing that set the internet on fire from the show, and rightfully so. Sitting on an empty stage.
So what's funny is like when this was first happening, I thought that Dustin was coming out first. I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And then as the stuff happens, I explained it to Carissa like what's happening, and this is a big fuck you to Triple H. Right. And then today at lunch, my dad was asking, he was like, what was up with the throne thing? I didn't really understand that. And I was like, oh, Cody was making fun of Triple H, and he was like, oh, I get it now. That's funny.
Cody walks through the tunnel in his Alucard getup, right? Notices the throne, but does not sit upon it. They walk down to the ramp. Brandy reaches under the apron and pulls out a sledgehammer. Cody grabs it and turns toward the throne, and it's here that the crowd realizes what the fuck is going on. Cody brings the hammer down on the throne, which explodes as Brandy screams, "Break it down," which is perfect because that's the line from the DX theme song, right? And so lots of fans online didn't like it because apparently they feel like AEW should always take the high road while WWE calls them a pissant company on live broadcasts and shit. I say, fuck that. This was awesome. I'm sure Triple H, wherever he was watching, if he's smart enough to have watched it, laughed.
He was fucking laughing.
I'm sure he chuckled at that. Dude, he's a fighter, dude. He loves this shit. He's ready to go to war. He's just waiting for Vince to die to do it.
Not only is he a fighter, but he is a very theatrical showman.
Oh, yeah, man.
He fucking loves this shit, which is more talked about when Cody in the back after their interview where he was like, yeah, WrestleMania 30 where Triple H did the Shao Kahn thing from Mortal Kombat. Fucking love that. I wanted to do something just like that. Yeah. So I did.
This was a great way for them to say to WWE, to fans on both sides, we're not fucking afraid, And if you're a real fight fan, if you love simulated violence that wrestling prepares, you want this, whether you think you do or not. With all the posts this week about you can like WWE and AEW, you can, but why would you want to? You love fights. Like, you can like both of them, go right ahead, but people are also going to be like, I'm on this team and you're on that team, and like, yeah, and they're going to be jazzed about it because that's what we're all here for. It's a wrestling match between WWE and AEW, and some people are going to be like, you know what? I like both these guys. And some people are going to be like, you know what? I like my guy and fuck that other dude. And it's going to be, that's how it is, man. This is the Meta Rumble that we haven't had for so long. So I understand people are like, oh, they shouldn't be taking shots or whatever. But like, sorry, dude, this is the game. This is how you play it. It's all about the game is what I'm trying to say.
Fucking nerd. The thing of it is if you really look at it, the majority of wrestling fans that are participating in internet conversations, were not alive during the Monday Night Wars. Yeah, they don't remember this shit. Like, right. I mean, like I do. I remember all this shit. I remember it so well. You
remember them reading the fucking scripts on WCW and shit like that, right?
I do. I mean, you probably remember like the latter half of it and reading about it now.
Sure.
But during the Monday Night Wars, this is the kind of shit they did every fucking week.
Right.
So people pop on to both shows to see what the fuck they were going to do.
People talk
especially
so
when Paul
fondly
went live.
about DX getting in a tank and going over to WCW, right? That's way fucking worse than this shit. But
I mean, like, do you guys not remember the AEW rally where AEW went and sat in the fucking parking lot of the Raw tapings? And I think someone got fired because of it.
I love, by the way, Cody's weight belt says Attitude Killer on the back, which I thought was awesome. This is awesome chant starts before the opening bell starts to ring. It's awesome. Just seeing these two stand in the ring, like, you know that, like, there was this feeling of just that the leash had been taken off of both of them, finally, and that we could finally see what it was supposed to be, and I think they fucking nailed it, man. Dusty chant follows as both men just soak it in, because it's an amazing moment. I really think Dustin, as much as Cody probably told him about how different this crowd was going to be, I really don't think he was expecting it.
I think Dustin was expecting more of just the traditional WrestleMania crowd, where he was expecting, you know, cheers and stuff, but not
to be
fans.
Surrounded by like a family. You know what I mean?
You didn't have shithead fans pulling bullshit chants. You had people doing legit shit, not trying to get themselves over. So it was. Yeah, I don't think he was expecting any of this.
Cody takes Dustin down with a single leg takedown, does the cartwheel and Stardust hand motion to great effect. Loved it. Dustin fires back with some wild moves. Crowd starts chanting, "You still got it," but I love that he doesn't sit there and bask it in or say anything about it. He just keeps fucking wrestling, doesn't care. Dustin does 9 corner punches on Cody, mimics the Stardust hand motion back, and then does the 10th. Cody climbs out into the crowd to catch a breather. Cody almost takes out Hebner as Brandy throws water in Dustin's face. During the split-second distraction, it was really tight. I love that.
It was. The whole thing with Cody, he went out, you know, not just ringside, he went out into the crowd, took a minute, got back out, grabbed a bottle of water, took a sip of it, it was like, okay, and then handed it to Brandy to do that next spot. But that whole little thing right there was just so perfectly timed, and it was like, okay, you little shit.
Dustin sets Cody split-legged on the second rope. Cody tears off the turnbuckle pad beneath him and throws it at Dustin. Dustin throws it into the crowd. The crowd fucking freaks out, right? It's a turnbuckle pad that says AEW on it. Cody...
Excalibur was full on. It's like, well, we'll see that on eBay in a few minutes.
Cody throws Dustin into the exposed turnbuckle. Dustin rolls to ringside. Cody distracts Hebner as Brandy spears Dustin, but Hebner saw that shit, and he is fucking pissed, dude. And so Hebner ejects Brandy. Brandy refuses to leave, and that's when DDP comes out and just fucking picks Brandy up and carries her to the back. This is all... Go ahead.
According to Dustin in the post interview, when Brandy speared him, she had the head of Cody's cane.
He said that. I never saw it.
I didn't either, but
I feel like maybe there's a possibility that that's what they wanted to do, and it didn't end up happening. And then he just sort of flubbed it when he talked about it. But
I was a little bit confused. Like, if that was the case, that would have been really cool. I don't know why they didn't just go with, oh yeah, it busted up off of the.
Yeah,
you know,
I watched it back a couple of times and I never saw the cane. It might be there, but I never saw it. So
even so, that would have made more sense when the big delay between him hitting the turnbuckle and then him, you know, doing the blade. But
it definitely would have. But I feel like if that's what they were gonna do, I don't know why she didn't just swing the cane at his head instead of spearing him. You know what I mean? But hey, you know, in the heat of the moment.
What was cool, though, is, like, Brandy's out here in fucking stiletto, thigh-high boots, and then does a running spear. That's goddamn impressive.
Yeah, man. It was awesome, dude. DDP, of course, just picks her up, carries her to the back, and when we cut back to Dustin, he's something has happened to his head. How it wasn't as obvious as it was at All In with Cody.
It's also because he's wearing red face paint.
Right, but thinking back, it was like, oh, okay, that was all just so that he could go and do the job.
Yeah.
Which, okay,
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It didn't take me out of it in the moment, but when I think back, I'm like, I know when he cut himself. Like,
yeah. With All In, it was way too scripted and obvious, and I think at All In that was done on purpose to be that way. But with this one, it was much cleaner to do it how they did it, which leads into Carissa's next question. Since it is very clear that Dustin cut way too deep with his blade, what usually happens when they do a cut wrong, and is that an unusual occurrence? And so the second part, that is absolutely an unusual occurrence.
It's somewhat unusual. Marty cut too deep too.
Yeah, Marty cut way too deep. The reason why this is unusual and that it did happen is Dustin legit hasn't bladed since like '95.
He also hasn't wrestled in like a year.
Yeah,
WWE was like paying him to sit home, like fucking Peter Avalon or some shit, So
yeah, so that's the kind of the thing is like when you have a razor blade, you don't have to press down at all to do that. You just gotta swipe across.
There's like a vein like right here that if you hit it, like
and then but when you're nervous about it and you haven't done this in a while, you press down too much, you do clip the vein.
The other thing is it looks like more blood than it is because a lot of it's sweat.
Yeah, but with this one where you can see it pouring.
Oh yeah.
So usually I don't really know what happens when a cut goes wrong. The only one I remember that's been like this bad was that one the last time that they actually bladed in WWE with Cena at whatever event, and he just had a gory mask.
The other thing that's important to note is that wrestlers used to, I don't know if Dustin did here or not, but wrestlers used to take aspirin before they would do these matches.
Yes,
because it thins your blood out.
Thinner.
Thins your blood out. And so more blood comes out. I don't know if they did or not because it sounds terribly unsafe to me, but whatever.
Back in the day, that was a thing because there was nothing safe about wrestling.
Right. Make your blood dollar stretch further. You know what I mean?
Usually, if a blade does go, I would say if it does go wrong, the ref will step in.
Right.
And try and end the match quickly
because in WWE in this match there was no way they were going to call this.
No, there was no way that was happening, and Earl Hebner didn't give a fuck at all.
Didn't even put the gloves on. He didn't give a shit.
Didn't even give a shit. No gloves on. That was one of the things I thought was funny. Is like, no, he's fine.
There is so much blood. Dustin is disoriented, like Cero Miedo 2 levels of blood for people who watch that. It just a lot. Not
Dustin
quite like Eddie JBL levels of blood, but a lot of blood.
Yeah, he lost a quart of blood easily because like there's multiple times where he's laying on the mat and you just see it pouring out. And,
Dustin gets a near fall off of a Hail Mary power slam. Cody locks Dustin in a figure 4 leg lock, which was a nice callback. Cody takes off his belt. Earl Hebner immediately takes it away from him. Dustin then puts Cody on the top rope, pulls his pants down, and smacks his bare ass with the belt.
That was fucking glorious.
Which I thought was funny. Such just like an older brother, just like disciplining his brother, just like just silly.
If Dusty was booking this match, that is 100% something he would put in it.
Yeah.
Just because it made him laugh.
Right. Gets another near fall off a gorgeous sunset flip. Huge snap superplex from Dustin to Cody. Follows with a crossroads. 1-2. Cody stays alive. Dustin goes for a second crossroads. Cody pushes Hebner away, and then as he at the same time low blows Dustin on the sly, which again the timing between these three was so fast. I was shocked. And granted, I did watch this at like 2x speed when I was doing notes, so maybe that's part of it. But it was
no, dude. No, when you're watching this last night, that these were so quick and fluid that you couldn't do these kind of things without it being two brothers.
Yeah. Disaster kick into a crossroads. 1-2. Kick out. Everyone is just covered in blood. Cody hasn't been cut himself, but is covered in just as much blood as Dustin is at this point. Dustin is just dripping.
Dustin lost a quart of blood easily. Man.
Hits a second crossroads. 1-2. Kick out. Both men are exhausted, blood soaked. Punch exchange. The crowd has actually turned at this point towards being in favor of Dustin because he's done so much for them at this point. Fight forever chant from the crowd. Cody hits a vertebreaker, doesn't cover. I love this moment. Hebner begins to count and Cody like stops him. Like he's going to count for a knockout and Cody's like, stop. He lifts Dustin, one last crossroads, 1, 2, 3. The winner, Cody Rhodes, in just an unbelievably emotional match, man. And before we talk about it, I'm going to get to what happened after the ring because it's all part of this story. Dustin begins removing his boots in the ring. I don't know if everybody saw that, but he was doing that, untying his boots, getting ready to take them off, leave them in the ring. He was going to retire. Cody slides in, and Dustin just scurries backwards like a wounded animal, right? Like he doesn't want anything to do with Cody. He's like, you beat me.
Yeah. I'm done. Let's just move on.
Cody grabs a mic. There's a thank you, Dustin chant from the crowd that Cody lets go for a second. And then he says, you don't get to retire here. You don't get that. Because I got to ask you a favor in front of God and the whole world. Before AEW was a thing, before we filled this place up, it was me, it was Kenny, it was Matt, it was Nick, it was Tony. And I put my name on a piece of paper for our show next month in Jacksonville for Fight for the Fallen. Do you know the match I put my name on? It was myself and a partner of my choosing against what I think is the best tag team in the world.
So right there, I marked out hard because I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Cody and Dustin versus the Lucha Bros. This is going to be a goddamn bloodbath.
I thought he was going to turn heel on the Bucks there too, but he didn't. He says the Young Bucks. He said, but Dustin, I don't need a partner. I don't need a friend. I need my older brother. And Cody's delivery, there's a voice crack right in there. His delivery is masterful. Huge hug, both men in tears, me holding it back because I'm hanging out with two other guys. Incredible moment. All I can think of throughout the whole thing is just like, man, a Dusty would have been unfathomably proud of all of this. And everybody should be. Cody 3 years ago was a fucking jobber in WWE who never got the respect he deserved. And now he's ready to take on the WWE with all the financial backing that he needs in this incredible match that honors his father's legacy with his brother. Like, god damn, man.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, man. I mean, it's very reminiscent of Dusty in the early 90s when he was helping Ted Turner start WCW. So, I mean, there's so much symbolism there. But yeah, dude, this whole thing, every bit about this match was fucking amazing and honoring their father so well. And not only that, but just honoring each other and putting on the match they have wanted to do for fucking years.
And story-wise, it was just perfect, man. It was great. Dustin hands Cody his Attitude Killer weight belt and both men exit. Absolutely wonderful story. Beautiful. One of those moments that it's really just like, man, that's when wrestling's fucking good, man. That was so good.
Sadly, your brother will never watch it.
He'll never watch it. Too much blood. He doesn't like it. He's a hemophobe.
What's really funny is after the event press conference, and Cody's standing there, and his hair is fucking pink from the blood because it dyed his hair, that bleach blonde shit he has, pink. And man, it was fucking funny.
Now, actor Jack Whitehall is in the ring. He announces that here to present the brand new AEW World Championship belt is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret fucking Hart is here in perhaps the biggest surprise of the night for me. That they got him to do that. But
surprise.
Of course, because if there was anybody who's a WWF legend who has, let's say, is best described as a tumultuous relationship with WWE that he doesn't really mind risking, it's Bret Hart.
Yeah, he is not the typical WWE legend. He does not give a shit about telling them to fuck off. I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You know, many people would have expected, like, you know, DDP or Stone Cold to pop in this spot.
Sure.
Like, no, DDP's doing his own thing. He's making his own business and doing that. He had his spot, and he's really just there to support Cody and help them with workouts.
Yeah.
Stone Cold's still too much of a mark for WWE and doing whatever Vince wants, but Bret Hart, man, this was a perfect spot for him.
Plus, if Austin does this, then he can say goodbye to that eventual Saudi money return. You know what I mean? So.
That's probably happening this year.
He pulled fucking what's his name out of the fucking mothballs, Mr. WrestleMania, right? So,
fine.
Bret thanks AEW for having him on, then introduces the Hangman. As the Hangman steps through the ropes, MJF's music hits. MJF comes out to do some champion level trash talk, and the crowd is just lit up from the beginning. They're fucking pissed. Calling it now, MJF will be this company's The Rock. There's no way, dude. Dude, he's been doing this for 3 years, and he's the best talker in the company, besides maybe Cody. But still, dude.
Well, even then, and Cody is you can tell Cody's working with him on this stuff.
Yeah.
This kid is going places. MJF and Hangman, that's the future of this company. That's what they're building. Because those two guys fucking deserve it. Man, I loved every bit about this segment because god damn, he said some fucked up shit.
Bret can't even keep a straight face when MJF is talking shit to him.
He can't, dude, because he's trying so hard not to laugh because it's so fucking good.
MJF tries to get Paige to give him his title shot. Hangman takes a swing at him instead. MJF's like, calm down, Seabiscuit. Oh my god, so great, talking about how you shoot. He's like, oh, you're a horse, right? Guess what happens when their legs don't work anymore?
Yeah, we shoot you and take you to the glue factory.
Right. It's so fucked up.
I also love how Hangman's new video is just a fucking.
Is a horse.
Horse.
MJF tries to employ the to-do list. That is, arrive, talk shit, leave. But Jungle Boy comes in behind him. MJF
was also a great moment. Build up another star.
Dude, like I said, MJF is just feuding with everybody in the company right now. He's that good.
And then the next thing happened with more staple guns.
MJF calls Jungle Boy a prepubescent teenager and then walks past him. But now here comes Jimmy Havoc. And MJF's mouth has written a check that his ass can't cash, basically. It's time to brawl, dude. And they fight into the crowd as Bret lifts the AEW World Championship high in the ring. And the camera crew is in fucking La La Land, have no idea how to get a shot of this thing, unfortunately, but we get a couple of good shots of it. It's really gorgeous.
I want one.
The logo is there, but it's not like in WWE where everyone's kind of fighting over a big logo, but it's there. It's on the thing. I think it's perfect. Not quite as gorgeous as like the Lucha Underground belts, but I honestly think the Lucha Underground belts in hindsight were probably a little under-branded as much as I loved them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Lucha Underground on that is substantially small. Like, it's just that.
Well, and it's the same color as the rest of the belt, which is so intricate that like you really couldn't see it. That's what I think makes it so gorgeous, but it's also what makes it not really a great marketing belt.
Yeah, I mean, unless you actually have the belt where you could sit down and look at all of the detail, you can't really appreciate the Lucha Underground belt. Man, I love that AEW championship. I'm really hoping they have them for sale.
Very reminiscent of. They probably won't by then. It'll probably take a while for that to happen, but
I can hope.
It's very reminiscent of the IWGP belts too.
Yeah, it is. It very much looked like the heavyweight championship belt.
And they played by the rules, man. I'm a firm believer. Black or white strap, that's it. And then
none of that red shit.
And then metallic colors only on the plates. That's it. Like that's all I want. You know, if you want to put rubies in it, like or around the big gold belt, okay.
Cool.
But that's it. I do not need other metal colors or anything like that. Just, you know, make it look like a fucking title belt it's supposed to look. And they did, which is great.
I mean, from this segment, like I'm so down for Jimmy Havoc. I love like his gear and everything he walked out with. That he walked out and just pulled a goddamn staple gun out and just aimed it at people's faces. I'm super down for that. I can't wait to see him in like a singles match, and some of our friends from the UK were like, "Yeah, he's kind of a psychopath. Be prepared."
Brett supposedly stumbled and fell from the stage after they cut to a promo video here, but he seems to be fine.
Yeah, I did. I saw a video from that. So basically, what happened is he was walking to the stage, and he was walking like straight back where the Y cuts, and he just, I guess he assumed it was like WWE where you just walk back behind the curtain kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's
he
nothing
just
there.
went straight down.
Guy, come on. That's not how you
Poor
came
guy,
in
man.
through the tunnel. I don't know why you wouldn't go back out through the tunnel.
Hey
but-
man, he had a stroke. Leave him alone.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I understand. Is Anthony still complaining?
No.
Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks. Rick Knox is the man in the stripes for this. Lucha Brothers enter in some awesome entrance masks that they had
Yeah,
made.
dude, they're fucking dope. Their music is badass too.
The Young Bucks enter in Vegas era Elvis themed gear, which was
Fucking
hilarious. The big thing, Lucha Brothers over as fuck. Pentagon has started doing this thing. He used to just do the one Cero Miedo. Now he'll do Cero Miedo, and then he'll do Cero Miedo, which helps get the people who don't know the chant into the chant. I think it's super effective, and I think we already saw it at Double or Nothing, but I think moving into the future when he performs in this company, we're really going to see, like, holy shit, this guy's on this whole other fucking level, because he's amazing.
Yeah, man, he's super over with that crowd, and that event is going to help him be even more over because, God, he is fucking white hot right now.
He's so great, dude.
That fucking new tattoo he got is so goddamn dumb.
On his knuckles, yeah. Penta and Matt start. Penta almost hits a package pile driver right out of the gate. Phoenix in. Ray Phoenix shows why he is the best traditional luchador in the world.
Also kind of shows a bit why he has a death wish, but yes.
Mind-blowing lucha sequence between Nick and Phoenix ends in a stalemate on the ramp, and this was one of the gifs going around everywhere, and people were all flippy shit, and it's like, shut up, dude.
Go fuck yourself.
The Lucha Bros hit Nick with a double super kick and then go to town with a series of tandem strikes on Matt. Now, the Bucks take control with some fiercely creative tandem moves based around the head scissor. Matt and Penta legal now. Penta monkey flips Nick into Matt and makes the tag to Phoenix. Phoenix on the hot tag, grabs Matt's hand, leaps to the top rope, twists around, head scissors Nick off the top rope. Just incredible control from Phoenix. Phoenix was always good. He's at the top of his game right now. Follows the Tiger.
That little bit of time off he took from the hip injury.
Yeah.
Absolutely needed 100%.
He follows with a Tiger Roll cutter on Matt for the first near fall of the match. Matt and Penta are legal now. Matt hits a fucking nasty corkscrew middle rope stunner thing. Phoenix is back in. Matt hits Phoenix with 3 Northern Lights suplexes in a row. This match is so fucking good. Every move is awesome in this match, which made taking notes on it a bitch. Nick almost beats the Lucha Brothers by himself with some crazy lucha offense that he pulls out of nowhere, or really out of 15 years of wrestling. Double sunset flips into double sharpshooters from the Young Bucks. Then they hit a combo powerbomb / sliced bread number 2 on Phoenix. Shout out to the Motor City Machine Guns. 4-way super kick party, which was stiff.
Dope. Super stiff, man. This whole match was stiff.
Matt and Penta roll out onto the apron for my favorite part of the match, dude. Phoenix slides out between them, ducks down. Penta jumps off of Phoenix's back, fucking kills Matt with a flying Canadian destroyer on the apron. And then Phoenix quickly jumps up, springboards over the top rope onto Nick, who's in the ring, and hits him with a devastating Canadian destroyer as well. And the sequence is like literally 5 seconds where everyone gets murdered.
Yeah, dude. Like we've talked about it before, like last week with this match. It's like you cannot fucking blink.
Oh my God.
Because you will miss something. I mean, I need to go back and watch this match again. I've told Carissa, I was like, hey, she ended up going home after the Cody Dustin match, and I texted her later, like, if you don't watch anything else, you need to watch this tag team match because it's brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, man. Cover 1-2, Nick kicks out. This is awesome chant from the crowd. The Bucks slide out to ringside. Phoenix leaps, stands on Penta's shoulders, and then dives onto the Bucks.
He doesn't care about his spine.
They're like circus performers. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a Lucha Brothers chant. Penta hits both Bucks with a simultaneous package pile driver / gory special. Phoenix hits Nick with a swanton 1-2. Somehow Nick kicks out. Penta attempts the hammerlock arm breaker on Nick, but Matt stops it. Double super kick on Phoenix. Matt hits Phoenix with a top rope brainbuster. Shades of El Generico. Bucks hit Penta with more bang for your buck. 1-2. Penta survives. Matt and Nick hit Penta with the Lucha Bros signature package pile driver / double foot stomp thing, which is awesome. Nick flies on the Phoenix at ringside. 1-2. Penta survives. Bucks go for the Meltzer driver. Lucha Bros reverse it into a quick hammerlock arm breaker on Matt.
I think it was Matt. Yeah,
it was Matt.
This is where everyone on the internet lost their shit.
Snap! Matt's arm gets.
Like, this is such bullshit. His arm's fine. You guys are idiots.
Dude,
like, come on.
So, because they haven't been watching, they haven't been paying attention, they're ignorant. So, Matt's arm gets snapped. You know, it's the Pentagon Hammerlock Armbreaker. It's what he does. Pentagon driver on Matt, 1-2. Fuck, man. Matt kicks out. JR doesn't even know what he's seeing at this point. He's like gone catatonic. He's like, this is. He's doing what we were doing on our trying to commentate. He's just like, this is awesome.
this is fucking great. I mean, it was just so nice because JR has clearly never seen these four guys working together.
Yeah.
And him seeing that, you can tell, like, almost reignited his love of wrestling because of how fucking crazy this shit was.
He was just a fan again for a few minutes, man. Phoenix comes in and starts popping kicks off into Matt's snapped right arm.
Stiff as fuck kicks, too. Right in the armpit. And, you know, I mean, normally that hurts.
Right.
When you have a, quote unquote broken arm, that hurts twice as bad.
Phoenix spends too much time taunting, and then Matt scoops him up with the one good arm. Meltzer driver. 1, 2, 3. Winner, who fucking cares? That was amazing, right? Like, the Young Bucks, they win the match.
We knew before anything, we filled our scorecards with our hearts because we were like, yeah, fucking Lucha Bros are going to win. There's no question about this.
Right.
AAA fucking spoiled this for us.
Sure.
Because they announced their cards like, oh, the Young Bucks are still champions. They'll be defending their belts in.
Well, card subject to change. I mean, that happens. I have a poster from an NXT show I went to in Rhode Island where it says Finn Balor's the champion, but Samoa Joe won the title the night before. So.
Sure, but it's also fucking AAA.
Sure. So that's how that is. Hey, text Anthony, tell him we're gonna do the last match soon. Okay. Lots of fucking dude bros on the internet, though, dude. That were the biggest thing that I saw was that this was too much. It had too many false finishes. It was too much. And I completely agree because I thought Avengers Endgame was too exciting. And if I have a meal in a restaurant and it's too delicious, I send it back, And if I play a video game and it's too much fun, I just turn it right off. I hate when things are just, when things go above my expectations, it makes me angry on the inside.
I mean, the only thing explanation I can give to this is like the match was a little bit of sensory overload because it was so much, but like to me and you,
okay,
that's not a bad thing.
right. Sensory overload for and I understand part of this is because that's what Lucha Libre is trying to do all the time, and pro wrestling, American pro wrestling is different, but. If you want your wrestling to be fucking milquetoast through molasses, you can fuck off back to WWE where that shit happens on
Just
every.
Go back over there.
Yeah,
You'll see
then
it every fucking Tuesday night.
Yeah, then goodbye. Good riddance. Go and watch your wrestling that is exciting, but not too exciting. They're fucking bullshit. And Matt and these two are the best tag teams in the world.
Not only do you have the two best tag teams in the world, but you also have two of the best singles competitors in the world in Pentagon and Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Pentagon do a singles match against a relatively unknown indie guy.
Mm-hmm.
He put that guy over so hard, it was amazing. And this was like the craziest fucking match I've ever seen with a fucking fireball spot. And
I don't I'm not trying to sound like an opinionated asshole, but like if you don't think these two guys are the best tag team in the world, like that's okay. Because it's okay to be wrong. You can just be wrong about stuff, and that's fine.
Everybody has their own opinion. But
yeah.
If you don't think this match was great, go fuck yourself.
These guys, it was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable wrestling match.
Basically, here's my thing. If you did not like this match, go watch a goddamn Jack Swagger match.
That's what you need. That's what you need in your life. If the only thing that this is to you is your sort of precious need to I need to suspend my disbelief or whatever, then this place probably isn't going to be for you in a big way. It just isn't. Wrestling shouldn't be embracing that either, because the only thing that wrestling has that is proprietary is over-the-top matches, superhero type matches. Then that's what they need to embrace, both because that's what's popular now, and because if people want to see real fights, they can go and get it.
And the biggest thing about that to me is Cody said in his post-event interview that going forward, like, Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, the two things that they have and All Out, the three things they have on the calendar, like, yeah, we got to top this, because we're not going out there if we can't do better than this.
He's saying every show needs to be better than this. So
Double or Nothing was better than All In. Fyter Fest has to be better than Double or Nothing. Fight for the Fallen has to be better than Fyter Fest. It has to continually get better. And he was flat out saying, like, yeah, man, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we will. So that should tell you right there. Like, if you don't like then the Dustin match, I get you. You may not like that. That was a bloodbath.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Sure.
If you don't like this match and the Jericho match, you need to go watch other wrestling. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. Or watch UFC. I don't know if you heard of this thing, UFC. It's real fights. They feel really realistic because they are. Assumedly. I think so. I don't know. Paul Turner is the referee for this final match. Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Jericho's entrance, an idea from Cody, starts with flashes of different Jerichos through the years, which I thought was super awesome.
It was great, dude. Every time they came out, I mean, besides the first one,
right,
I thought it was actually Jericho. No, the first one was fine. The second one, where he had short hair, that was when I knew, like, okay, that's not him.
Yeah.
But it was great, dude. And I'm glad they got that fucking light up jacket. The only thing that pissed me off was that goddamn scarf, man.
Cracker Barrel in the ring, which I thought was great. They apparently provided the catering for the show.
They're a sponsor of AEW. That's great. They got me a real nice lunch there today.
The bell rings, and this match is so I know we've said that about a lot of matches, but they beat the shit out of each other in this match.
Kenny legitimately has a broken nose from this match.
They fight out to ringside. Jericho rings the bell and throws his hands up like he won, which is hilarious.
It was great,
A
dude.
series of fucking nasty chops back and forth between these two. Omega tries to moonsault off the barricade. Jericho pushes him out into the crowd. Excalibur, whether he means to or not, keeps calling Jericho Generico throughout the match, and it just made me go, fuck. I wish Generico and Kevin were here. Oh my god.
Did you see on Twitter, Generico reactivated his Twitter account to talk about Double or Nothing last night? It was the funniest fucking shit.
Can you imagine? I don't know if Kevin will do it, but God, I hope they both go.
I do too, man. And I feel like if anything is going to push them to it, it's this Saudi stuff, because that is pushing on their nerves so bad.
Yeah.
But man, I hope they do. Those two guys would be amazing in AEW. Someone might die.
Jesus.
But they'd be amazing.
Jericho grabs a camera and peers over the barricade at Kenny. Kenny spits water into the lens and then nails Jericho with a drop kick off the barricade. Both back in the ring for more hard knocks. On a roll into a moonsault from Kenny. Jericho, very adversarial with the crowd, starts flipping off some dude who's dressed as Jesus in the crowd.
AEW Jesus.
Yeah.
Someone actually asked Tony Khan if they were going to sign him.
And Tony was like, who?
That's him.
Kenny's nose is bleeding now. They're saying his nose is broken. I don't know if it, did you know if it actually got broken?
His nose is broken.
Okay.
That's what they talked about in the after the cameras, like, his nose is legitimately broken.
Kenny clotheslines Jericho to ringside. Jericho pulls a table from beneath the ring. Jericho holds the table up. Kenny comes down with a gorgeous tope con hilo on the table, crushing Jericho beneath.
Table didn't break, though.
Nope. Japanese style table, dude, takes more than that. Kenny puts the table back on top of Jericho and then leaps from the ring in a springboard double foot stomp on the table.
Still there.
Kenny sets the table up. It's not in great shape. Back to the ring. V-trigger against the turnbuckle. And then Omega hits Jericho with an avalanche back suplex. 1-2. Jericho survives. V-trigger. One-Winged Angel. Jericho slips out of the One-Winged Angel, turns it into a German suplex. Lion Salt lands on the back of Kenny's head. Second Lion Salt lands perfectly. 1-2. Kenny survives. Kenny tries for a double underhook pile driver. Jericho lifts Kenny over the ropes and sends him tumbling down through the table that we all forgot about at ringside. This is awesome chant for the crowd. Jericho tries to superplex Kenny. Kenny fights out. Kenny leaps from the top rope. Jericho catches it in a code breaker. 1-2. Kenny survives. There was a series of big move reversals here that ends with Kenny landing that double underhook pile driver. Kenny hits a V-trigger. Jericho rolls it into the walls, then cranks it into a lion tamer. Kenny fights out. V-trigger, One-Winged Angel, reversed into a DDT from Jericho. Jericho then goes for a lion salt. Kenny catches Jericho in the electric chair position, tries for the One-Winged Angel, and again, Jericho reverses into the DDT, which was just perfect. Code breaker, Judas Effect, 1-2-3 winner, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, the Judas Effect didn't work entirely the way he wanted it to, in terms of the way he staged it, but it came off fine, and I thought it was a fine finish to the match, even though I think the Codebreaker is better. If he's just going to do the Codebreaker anyway, then whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but it did make the Judas Effect an actual finisher, which is what.
And it put that move over, man. It's the move that took out Kenny Omega, right? When he couldn't do that before, when he didn't have it, right? So
right, exactly. So it achieved the intended effect. Part of that is, I think, Jericho kind of flubbed the Judas Effect here, because Kenny had a broken nose. He didn't want to break it further, which is fair. Wasn't mad about this. Loved the match. It was a great match. Knew Jericho was going to win because he's the fucking biggest heel in the goddamn world.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this was a lot of fun.
A spectacular main event match. You know what? So let's call up Brother Tony and let's get the results from him.
So
Before we go any further, before we talk about what happened after the matches, let's call up Brother Tony, get the results for the community, for everybody that's looking for it.
Yeah. Well, while you're calling, we'll go ahead and go through our predictions, which you lost.
Wait. We will do this after we call Anthony.
Oh, you want further humiliation after you
Yes.
get humiliated for
Yes.
the real title belt? Ooh.
Please leave a message.
What a heel. What a heel.
What a heel.
There he is. Tony.
Hello, boys.
Hi, buddy.
How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for agreeing to take the call so late. I know we made you wait, but oh boy, what a show. What a show.
Yeah, you had some stuff to get through. I get it.
Yeah. So we need to
We had
talk
some
to
stuff
you.
to get through as well.
Yeah, we need to talk about all these results.
Okay, yes. Let's talk about these results. First of all, I was very excited. A bunch of people came to play with us, and it was a lot of fun, and we'll keep doing it. I think it was really cool. Here's some interesting insights into
Okay.
what we found out. The first thing is that it's going to take us some time to really get to understand AEW's booking style.
Yeah.
Ultimately, no one, not even the winner, got over 50% of the available points.
Well, that's just because we picked with our hearts, not our heads, or we're all idiots.
And it's the first one, so
Yeah.
we don't know
It's
what
just the
they're.
first one. Right. Nobody really knows what they were going for. A lot of these didn't really have storylines per se going into them.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily surprising that it was about a coin flip. But,
Sure.
Oh, sure. But ultimately, that's something to note. What is interesting is that by and large, the group as a whole tends to be pretty good at this, because while none of us got over 50%, the average of everyone's picks, if the average of everyone's picks had competed, it would have come in second place.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, while everyone had their own outliers, if you just took what most people picked for each match, it actually did fairly well.
Compared to everybody else who also sucked.
Also true. It's good to note that our winner is an undisputed champion. The average did not beat them. It just beat everybody else.
That's fucking great.
So I want to know, before we go any further, the fight between you and I for that title.
Well, let me get there. 'Cause
Okay.
I think it's important first
He's making you wait.
highlight, I'm absolutely going to do that. It's important to highlight the two of you as co-hosts on this show.
Oh,
You
God.
both have your own perspective. You both bring different things to the table. And so when we evaluate your
Yeah.
ability to choose these matches head to head,
Just do
We
it.
already-
Just do it, you
guys-
fucking heel.
We've
Just
already
do
came
it.
through and said that don't trust our picks because we're morons.
you two tied at 44 points.
44 out of an available what?
Oh, I mean, that's not important, right? 44 out of an available 143.
Oh, that's not so bad. That's not so bad.
Yeah,
That's
you
only
guys
99 points off of total points.
You're about a third. You had about a third correct.
Hey,
You can
man,
look at that.
it's like they say 1 out of 3 ain't bad. You know what I mean?
But my point is that you two evenly matched.
They-
You this first butting head, you came out even Steven.
No one sucks more than the other. That's the important point.
That's right.
For
In
now.
terms of you and I, we have almost 10 years we've been trading this belt back and forth on various activities.
Sure.
Over the last 8 or so, it's settled on betting on these pay-per-view events and trying. We've had several systems we've used. So, I mean, it's been a long time for us that this belt's been going back and forth. Now, it's been here at my house for a couple years now.
All right.
What a fucking heel, man.
Dude. He's doing this off the cuff too. He didn't even have to write it out like I have to. He's just doing this off the cuff.
Fucking MJF over here.
Now, I will say it's going to keep staying right where it is because I got 45 points. Fuck you.
That's I don't like that one bit, okay?
That's fucking
I don't like that one bit. It's not staying where it is because I'm telling you right now, fight for the fallen, I'm putting my mask on the line.
All right. That's what it's going to take right now to get me.
I know I have no rights otherwise. Putting my mask on the line for fight for the fallen.
Which one?
All right.
Not any of the good ones. Now,
I just need a trophy for my wall.
Right.
Yeah.
So, fight for the fallen, put my mask on the line, gotta get that title. It's gonna happen this time. All right, 1 point off, I feel like is within the margin of error. Okay, so I don't even want to go there. There's nothing on this card we could have picked that would have been worth 1 point. So,
yeah, like he got like 100 points and you got 2.
Right, yeah, at 1 point. There's literally nothing on the card where the result would have gotten me 1 extra point we could have tied. It's literally just due to math numbers, all right? So I don't like that at all. But what we need is we need to know, first of all, I want to know 5 things. Okay, first of all, I want to know where in the pack Jonathan and I landed.
Oh.
That's not a good sign.
No, you don't.
All right. So I want to know
easily bottom half. Like well into the bottom half.
It's important that we be transparent with our listeners, though. You know what I mean?
I will say you did not reach. Every promotion needs a jobber.
Yeah.
Right. Someone to make the stars look good.
Yeah.
Right now, for us, we have our current jobber.
Okay.
Now, maybe they have a story that they're trying to tell where they're going to come back.
And first of all, we're not trying to shame you, okay? We're just saying you need to get better. You need to get better.
No, yeah, I'm trying to shame them a little. I'm trying to get them, fired
Tough
up,
love.
to grab that brass ring,
Right.
If
Joe
it's my
Cow,
girlfriend, don't shame her.
Oh my God, Shane. What did Shane get? Because Shane will listen and Shane will think it's funny that he had so little points. What did he get?
Shane had 36 points.
That's not bad.
It's bad. It's just not bad compared to you and I.
Right. It's not okay. It is bad. It's really bad, but it's not that much lower than like 44, 45 points. Really.
Yeah, we're right in that fucking good bell curve.
So it's good to know that we were all pretty tight then. We must have been.
Okay, so let's talk about the top 3.
Okay, give me the top 3.
So, in order to qualify for the top 3 here, and this is just by happenstance, the top 3 all pulled more than 60 points.
Okay.
So that's a pretty big deal.
All I'm saying
in
is
the field that we're looking at.
Okay.
So, more than 60 points. In third place, with 62 points, I want to congratulate Snipple Flipper.
Snipple Flipper, absolutely outstanding. What a wonderful performance. Third place, nothing to be sniffing at, considering it's 20 points more than Jonathan and I did.
Yeah, right?
And in second place, ostensibly our number 1 contender. Really, if you're the champion, you've got an eye out on this individual because they're coming for you.
Right.
Okay.
The Hangman Page of our division right now.
That's right. 66 points. Guillotine, the screen name Dream.
Guillotine!
Nice.
Fantastic.
But-
Congratulations, Guillotine.
But we needed to crown a winner. We would not be able to move forward without having a champion.
Correct.
Unrivaled, unparalleled, undisputed, with 70 points. Equals Scorpion 1.
Ugh. Scorpion. Of course. The Death Dropper himself, Scorpion. Scorpion, congratulations. You're going to get that gold role on our Discord server. You're going to be the champ. You can talk shit about it to everybody for up until Fighter Fest at least. And hit me up in a private
I doubt they'll do a card for Fighter Fest.
They will. They will,
they
dude.
will.
Dude, PWS does cards for the fucking Super Bowl.
And this is going to be a pay-per-view.
They're whores. They'll do anything. I love them to death, but they'll do it. They'll do it.
They're whores. They'll do anything.
Scorpion, hit me up in a private message. We'll get this special edition poster out to you, man. It's gorgeous. I'm deeply envious of you. Because I wanted to win. I only start leagues because I want to win them. I don't play no game I can't win. But I want to thank Anthony's podcast, Adventure Incorporated, every Monday morning, a live play D&D podcast. Adventure Inc.
Sorry, Bryce. I'm gonna have to interrupt you real fast here. Can you do that bit again? But instead of thanking Anthony, can you please thank the champion, the Reed House champion, Anthony? I would really appreciate that. Just start again.
Do you want me to say you're a fantastic human being / cop as well when I do it?
I also would like you to thank me. Thank me for...
You know, Jericho canceled his podcast today because they didn't thank him.
Well,
all right.
I may have to cancel this appearance. That's
Okay. Thank you so much to the champion, the commissioner, I don't like that you're both of those things, by the way. The one and only Brother Tony on the podcast.
Seems fucking rigged, man.
You got to check out his podcast, Adventure Inc., every Monday morning. AdventureInc.com.net?
AdventureIncPod.com.
AdventureIncPod.com. If you like...
.net? What?
I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't listen to your show. I'm not a fucking nerd. But
and make sure you check this this show. Go and check out their website, seeingtheelite.gov. That's really where you want to be.
It's a .biz, thank you. Okay? Now
.tv.
Right. Always a pleasure, Anthony. We'll have you back next time. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
See you, bud.
What a heel. Fuck, dude. Fuck that guy, dude.
That fucking domain name.
All right, let's finally get to the aftermatch stuff. So, match ends. Spectacular heated main event match. Chris Jericho is your winner. Jericho grabs a mic. Jericho goes off on all the marks in the crowd. He reiterates that he is AEW, that this company is all about him. He then, as he said he would, demands a thank you. And then here comes Jon fucking Moxley, man. Jon Moxley, the former Dean Ambrose from WWE. The former, before that, Jon Moxley from the Indies is here after much speculation after he left WWE last month, mostly over creative differences. He is right here in the company. Nobody knew he was going to come, although it was highly speculated. He's wearing a shirt, which I love, that looks suspiciously like a jean vest. Perhaps a slight sort of reference to the Outsiders there. DDT to Jericho, DDT to Paul Turner. Mox climbs onto the ropes, drinks in the cheers, and screams "motherfucker" to the sky, dude. He's so excited to be here, and I love it. There's a Moxley chant. Moxley lifts Kenny, but Kenny still has some fight in him. They tumble out to ringside, fight through the crowd, and climb up to the top of the stack of poker chips near the stage as the crowd chants AEW. Moxley DDTs Omega on the stack of poker chips, knees him directly in the nose, which couldn't have been fun, and then AA's Omega off the chips onto the stage, breaking it in the process. Final shot of the show sees Mox basking in the light of the copyright information that appears, and just fuck, man. Fuck!
Tore the fucking roof off of the place,
dude.
Man. It was fucking nuts.
And even before that, everything they said about this is going to be the best pay-per-view of the last 10 years. I've been watching all the big pay-per-views of the last 10 years. It was.
Yeah. I mean, like, I watched this whole show. I wasn't upset at any part of it. There was not a match that I specifically would think of as bad.
Yeah.
Everything was good. I mean, there was some that weren't great, but they were good. They were serviceable matches. It was a great evening. At the end of it, I posted in Discord, like, man, I'm not even mad I had to spend $50 on this anymore.
Yeah.
If I had spent $50 on WrestleMania this year, I probably would have been pretty upset by it. It wasn't, but that is what it is. Like, after this 4 hours, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
After watching that was worth $50. I will probably watch this at least 2 more times to, and I'll further get my money's worth out of it. But man, that was fucking awesome.
So good.
Before this whole thing, like you and I have talked about, I wasn't really too happy about Dean Ambrose coming over or Moxley, whatever. I didn't think he was too great in WWE. I thought he had like 5 moves that he just did over and over again.
Right.
But man, after that right there, that made me interested because...
Well, and he only did 1 move, so that shouldn't stand a reason, but it's more than that. It's after seeing all these other talents set free, right, and what they were able to do. After seeing what Dustin did tonight, you're like,
yeah,
what will Moxley do? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that was really is. Like, if he's not shackled, he could do amazing things. And, this is a really talented guy, but he's been shackled for so long. So it's like, let's see it. Let's, that the personality and the attitude that he had right there was just like, let's fucking run wild over everything. I don't give a fuck who you are. You're getting fucked up.
After the cameras cut, Kenny takes a mic. He says this, I'm so proud of everyone, but I should be mad for losing. Honestly, I'm not going to thank you, Chris, but I'm going to thank you, Moxley, a disgusting soda made in my home state. This is kind of clever because we are in Vegas. You just upped the stakes. And I love this line because it's again a reference to like, yeah, we're not going to come out and be like, we're going to war with WWE because that's kind of crass. But like, what are we supposed to not say it? You all know that that's happening. So
everybody that watched this show knows that this is what's happening. And, a funny thing that happened to me today is I was wearing my American Nightmare shirt as I was running my errands and going to get lunch. Mm-hmm. I got stopped by, and like at least 7 or 8 people stopped me. He's like, hey, did you watch Double or Nothing last night? And I was like, yeah, it was fucking great, wasn't it? So and they're like, every single one. I was like, dude, that show was amazing. And that's just the kind of weird thing. It's like, I'm just wearing my Bullet Club shirt that I just grabbed out of the drawer. I didn't even think about it.
Right.
And people saw that shirt and I'm like, hey, did you watch Double or Nothing?
Hey, you're part of the family, dude. You're part of the team.
I've never had that interaction with any other wrestling shirt other than the one time I wore my New Day shirt to Dragon Con and Austin Creed, was like, hey, bud, nice shirt, as he was walking to a panel.
Right.
But like, the shirt he's on, this is just random people like, yo, did you watch that show last night? It was fucking good.
Yeah, they're not embarrassed to talk to you about it. What do you know? Wrestling fans finally not embarrassed to admit to each other that they like wrestling, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't just, typically like wrestling fans like, okay, kind of quiet white dude, a little nerdish, but like, no, this was like all stretches of, the culture of, suburban Atlanta. But yeah, all types of people were coming up to me like, yeah, did you watch that?
That's awesome, dude. I can't wait. I hope we get some sort of numbers on things. I don't know that we will, but I hope that we do because it would be great. And if they're good, then why not brag about them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see some pay-per-view numbers from this, but,
Kenny leaves the stage exhausted. Cody says, this right here is for everybody that was told they couldn't, who was told that they are less than. None of us are. Mediocrity loves company, and that is not us. This is All Elite Wrestling. You are All Elite Wrestling. Let me ask you where we go next. Chicago, Jax, all over the world. Will you follow us? He says, then I give you my word on behalf of the elite that we will never, ever let you down. But we got to end this thing correctly. He then turns to Kenny. He says, sorry, Kenny, broken nose and all. You got to tell them good night. Guys, you have been loud all night. I need you to be as loud as you have ever been in your whole life. Kenny signs us off. We really put our pride on the line to try something new. I mean, all of us, AEW, everyone in the crowd has put up with some form of ridicule, being told we aren't on the right path. But today, I almost cried 3 or 4 times because I'm happy that each and every one of you is willing to take the chance in this journey with us. He says, even though I should be seeking medical attention, Cody put me on the spot, so I must bid you adieu. So everyone in Vegas and around the world, goodbye and good night. Bang. God damn, man. Yeah, I mean, in this thing, you know what Cody said during the weekend, that it's supposed to be like a family. We're all on the team now, and like whether people realize that or not, whether people want to come along or not, we're on the team. And especially for Jonathan and I, it was like vindication that that alternative pro wrestling has a shot at the mainstream, and we're going to do everything in our power to support that with you. And we thank you so much for supporting us on this show. We know it's been a long show, been a long night for Jonathan and I to talk about all this stuff, but we didn't feel like it was right to not talk about some of these things, to move on to what was more interesting. This show is always about being as informative and entertaining as possible for you guys, to the extent that we can be. And we thank you so much for joining us each and every week. We had an enormous spike in listeners due to the pay-per-view last week, and we appreciate everybody who came back. It means the absolute world to us. Thank you so much for everybody who's subscribed, who has given us a rating, who has come to the Discord. Please come to the Discord, hang out with us, because we had an awesome time during the pay-per-view, just cracking jokes and and just reveling with each other. And it's like a little family over there, and we love it, man. And to our new champ, Scorpion, and which he's I can't wait for him to shove it down all our throats.
I mean, we have a bunch of people, like, even if you don't feel you just want to, be a little bit of a lurker and just hang out and just, see us bullshitting, that's perfectly fine. We are perfectly content with amusing ourselves by being jackasses.
But the new news goes up there immediately too, so it's a great way to stay informed as well.
Yeah, man, there's some of these guys in the Discord that are like quicker than you and I. Some of the new stuff that we put together last week, I just pulled it out of Discord because everybody beat me to it. I was like, okay, well, that's better than what I had, so I'm just gonna put that in here.
tinyurl.com/seeing the elite. Oh man, just thanks to everyone. I'm gonna try not to prolong this any further. I don't think there's anything else that Jonathan and I have for you, but I think we should all be happy, no matter what we like, for the state of pro wrestling now. I guess the last thing I would want to discuss is that it's interesting to see that they talk so much about sports presentation, and then they put on what was ostensibly an indie show. It'll be interesting to see if the in-ring action stays very indie inspired, but the presentation is where the sports aspect comes in. And
I know going forward, they have a lot of sports esque stuff to take care of. I'm not sure when they'll start tackling that.
Well, it's difficult to do stats when you've only had 0 shows.
Yeah, so I'm sure as we start, especially hitting the TV production stuff, that's when more of the statistics and stuff will actually start playing into everything. But we gotta just what we know right now, man. We have a fun couple of months coming up ahead. The summer is gonna kick off well, and then ends of the fall with the TV stuff. So
we're gonna be here every single week, man. For it, it's gonna be a fucking blast.
It's kind of crazy that this is still just the beginning of the journey, man. I mean, we're 10 weeks in, but this is essentially day 1.
Yeah, it feels like a victory, and it's just the first step,
man.
Which is a wonderful position to be in as a company. Thank you so much for joining us. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, podcast services everywhere. Subscribe, review, give us 5 stars. It makes us feel sweet. Jonathan, how sweet?
Too sweet, buddy.
Too sweet. Facebook.com/seeing the elite, and of course tinyurl.com/seeing the elite. Get into the Discord, have fun with us. Thank you so much for all of us here at Seeing the Elite. Jonathan, myself, go out and change the world.